Now let's get to Jim Kelly and Lindsey Nelson in Texas.
The Chicago Bears, coming off that 23-7 loss to the Detroit Lions, have won the toss. They have elected to receive. The Dallas Cowboys, coming off a 24-10 win over the Washington Redskins, and rebounding after that 24-27 loss to the same Detroit Lions, will be kicking off. Going left to right, Rafael Septien will tee it up from the 35. It's always our pleasure on Thanksgiving to welcome Mr. Lindsey Nelson back to the CBS radio microphone, who 30 years ago today broadcast the Thanksgiving game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Lindsey, happy Thanksgiving.
Very same to you, Jim Kelly. It's always a pleasure. Here we go as the Chicago Bears deploy the reception team. They're sending Emery Moorhead back to center deep as Rafael Septien has teed the ball up on the 35-yard line to kick it off before a sellout crowd here at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. Chuck Heberling is the referee. There is Heberling's whistle. Septien is starting forward. And the ball is in the air. Emery Moorhead is waiting. He is at the 1-yard line. Straight up the field to the south. Veers right to the 10, to the 15, side slips the tackle of the 20, and gets across to the 22-yard line, where the Chicago Bears will start. First and 10 on the 22-yard return. This broadcast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys is prohibited. Vince Evans is the quarterback. He has completed 45.2% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Asturi and Walter Payton are in an hour formation. Payton's the tailback. Motion across. Evans gets the handoff, hands it off to Payton straight ahead. It's across the 25 and on up to the 30-yard line. Walter Payton on the first carry, stopped by John Dutton. It's going to be marked just short of the 30-yard line. Call it to 29. The Chicago Bears with a record of 3 wins and 9 losses. It's been a rough season for Chicago. Jim Kelly pointed out this is the first time on Thanksgiving they've ever played anybody besides the Detroit Lions. Here's a second down and 2 to go. Again in an I formation. Motion back toward the inside. Payton stutter step. Gets the first down. Here's to the left, 35, 40. And he goes out of bounds at the 44-yard line. So it'll be first down and 10 yards to go at the 44-yard line. Dennis Spearman from the corner coming over to make the tackle.
Walter Payton, 242 carries, 841 yards on the season. They lined up in the I formation. That play was actually designed to go off the right tackle. Walter Payton quickly saw there was no hole there, did the stutter step, as Lindsey called it, ran around Too Tall Martin and Harvey Martin, and Too Tall Jones to the left side, and picked up a key Chicago first down.
Brian Boschnagel and Ricky Watts are the starting wide receivers here this afternoon for Neil Armstrong's Chicago Bears. Boschnagel in motion all the way across from the left set. Walter Payton again, third consecutive carry. He hits up the middle and gets up to the 49-yard line. Walter Payton picks up 5 yards on the carry. It'll be second and 5. Mike Hegman coming in to make the tackle along with Harvey Martin.
So far, the Bears' game plan, Lindsey, has been rather simple. Walter Payton.
Give the ball to Walter Payton and either get somebody or get out of the way. One of the two.
One of the key matchups to watch this afternoon, Chicago rookie offensive right tackle Keith Van Horn going against defensive left end Ed Too Tall Jones for the Dallas Cowboys.
Payton is starting his 92nd consecutive game here today for the Chicago Bears. He's had only 2 100-yard games this year. Pitch to Payton, he goes right, and he's hit, breaks the tackle, and struggles back to the line of scrimmage. He was hit a couple of yards deep, but broke the tackle and struggled on up. He was hit first by D.D. Lewis, 36-year-old right outside linebacker, along with Harvey Martin. So it's no gain on the play. It'll be 3rd and 5 at the 49-yard line. No score in the game.
Walter Payton, of course, holding the single-season and single-game rushing record as far as the NFL is concerned. In one game, Payton rushed for over 275 yards. This year, though, he's averaging about 3.5 yards per carry. And part of the reason for that, Lindsey, the Chicago Bears' offensive line.
3rd down and 5. Margimo is in for one play, and now Boschnagel is back in there. Evans retreating, carries out right, and he's hit. Just as he was about to throw, it's called incomplete. It's called incomplete. Charlie Waters got to him to the blind side. And the ball popped away, but the official says incompletion, which will bring out the punting unit on 4th down. Evans never had a chance.
Cowboys had the blitz on. They blitzed the linebacker, Randy White, and Waters came around from his safety spot on the right side and put the initial pressure on, so the Bears will have to punt the football away.
James Jones goes back deep. He's standing for Dallas on his own 10-yard line. Bob Parsons in the punt. 10-year veteran out of Penn State, average 40.1. His long is 54 yards for the year. There's the snap. Parsons puts it up. A long, high spiraling kick. James is going to let it go. Hits on the 2 and takes a Chicago bounce. It'll be killed at about the 2 or 3 yard line. Ryan Boschnagel is down there in a hurry. And so the ball is killed by Boschnagel. It was a 48-yard punt. There is no return, and it's going to be spotted near the 4-yard line, short before first and 10. With the score, Chicago nothing, Dallas nothing. Let's take time out.
Eric Hipple threw 2 first-half touchdown passes, and Detroit's stubborn defense held Kansas City to only a field goal in the second half to give the Lions a 27-10 victory over the Chiefs in a nationally televised Thanksgiving Day game. That win lifted Detroit to within a half a game of first-place Minnesota in the NFC Central Division with a 7-6 record, but Kansas City slips to 8-5 from a first-place tie with Denver in the AFC West. Denver meets San Diego Sunday, and it's possible there may be a 3-way tie by Sunday evening if Denver loses at San Diego. Billy Sims clinched the game with about 2:40 left when he carried linebacker Cal Peterson with him into the end zone from 4 yards out for Detroit's final touchdown. It was Sims' 13th score of the season. In college football earlier today, Pennsylvania lost to Richmond 18-12, and at the end of the first quarter at Texas A&M, the Aggies lead Texas in their traditional battle 6-0.
And now the Dallas Cowboys break the huddle, come up to the line. Danny White is the quarterback. Ron Springs and Tony Dorsett are in the I formation now. Dorsett is deep, and he gets the handoff about the goal line and drives out just past the line of scrimmage. Jacked up for what you'd call no gain. Mike Singletary, along with Alan Page, coming in to make the tackle. Singletary coming back to play before his friends and neighbors. He's a rookie linebacker who played last year at Baylor and was in the Cotton Bowl game last January 1st.
And he said it should be a pleasure to get back and play in front of the home folks. Should be.
Doug Cosby comes into the ball game now for the Dallas Cowboys. They run him in, they run him out. Tony Hill comes out of the huddle out to the left side, and Drew Pearson's out to the right side. Running back to the nine, big Ron Springs. Ahead of Tony Dorsett, who moves over to a left set. Now Springs. And just as he gets the ball, he's hit by Singletary. And that was a pleasure. Back on the 2-yard line. A loss of 2 will make it 3rd and 12.
Third that time came with a blitzing linebacker, and they met head-on back at the 2-yard line. So it's a very interesting third down call now for Danny White. White came into the game, of course, with all sorts of offensive weapons. White 186 pass completions on 321 attempts, so he's up around 58% of his completions, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He has yet to throw a pass, however, in the football game.
3 wide receivers in the ball game now for the Cowboys, meaning Butch Johnson is in there as well. Tony Dorsett goes over to a right set and gets a handoff in the shotgun from Danny White. Breaks it out to the 11-yard line. They were in the shotgun, and the handoff went to Danny White, who gave it then to Tony Dorsett. Mike and Centric came in to make the tackle. The 4th down, the punting unit comes on, not nearly enough for the first down.
Gary Fensick, the safety in his 6th year from Yale, 6'1", 197, drops off, and he's holding on to his left shoulder. He's gone over to the Bears bench now for some attention, and if they lose him, that secondary of the Bears is suspect, and that's being kind.
Jeff Fisher has dropped back center deep to receive the punt. Punting from the end zone is Danny White. He's averaged 40.9. His long is 56. He gets the snap. Danny White with a high spiraling kick. Fisher retreating. Takes it on the 34 to the 35. Goes right to the 40. Along the sideline, and he goes out of bounds at the 44-yard line. So the Bears start with good field position. Steve Wright ran him out at a 57-yard punt. So we'll be back in just a moment.
The odds seem stacked against the Chicago Bears as they play down in Texas today. They are coming off a dismal string of offensive productions. Last week, their worst ever, gaining a mere total 24 yards against the Detroit Lions in a lopsided defeat. Compounding the dilemma, Chicago has had little preparation time to challenge a team that, while far from overpowering, has shown signs of coming alive for the playoffs. But Chicago coach Neil Armstrong feels that playing Dallas with only a brief period of preparation is not the same as it is playing most clubs. He said, we're used to playing on Thanksgiving Day against Detroit. I kind of like it, too, because you get those extra days after game at a time when your players can use it. The Chicago Bears have had a tough time offensively this year. Also, a lot of times on defense they've broken down. And a lot of it can be attributed to off years for a lot of players, perhaps some poor draft choices, and also a flock of injuries, especially that have haunted the offense this year. And it showed in the statistics.
The Chicago Bears have the ball first and 10. They have it at their own 44-yard line. No score in the ball game as yet. 10 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Quarterback is Vince Evans, formerly of the University of Southern California. Matt Surrey and Walter Payton are the running backs in the game. Neil Armstrong, Chicago Bears. He is bringing Ricky Watts out to the left side. Brian Boschnagel out to the right side. Running backs in an eye. Evans up calling starting signals, waiting for the snap. Gets it down. He hands it off to Walter Payton. That's been the offense so far. Walter Payton straight up the middle. Veers off right a little bit and gets to the 48-yard line. He picked up about 4 on the play. It'll be second down and 6 yards to go. Charlie Waters made the tackle.
5 carries now, 31 yards so far for Walter Payton. You look at the Dallas Cowboys defense, of course they're going to key on number 34, and they're not that concerned about the passing of Vince Evans. This has not been a good year, and it's really not Evans' fault. We've criticized the Bears' offensive line, and rightfully so. Payton's rushing statistics are way down, as are Evans in the passing stack.
Mike Cobb is in place of Robin Earl at the tight end, running back to an I formation. Boschnagel in motion from the left side back toward the inside. The handoff goes to Walter Payton. Veers left. Gets just about a half yard as he is stopped short of the 50-yard line. It'll be spotted, I think, 49. Mike Heckman made the tackle.
Lindsey, kind of an interesting play call there because that time the Bears sent Boschnagel in motion back toward the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, you have Payton running outside. So what in effect happened? Charlie Waters was in motion with Boschnagel, running right back to where Walter Payton was coming.
3rd and 5 at the 49-yard line. Bears with the ball in their own territory. Dallas has gone into the nickel, and dropping back is Vince Evans. He sets up throws, and it's almost intercepted, batted down, intended for Watts. Charlie Waters had it in his hands and couldn't hang on. He batted it down, and incompletion.
And Evans had to get rid of that football very quickly. Harvey Martin and Ed Too Tall Jones, 79 and 72 respectively, were in there putting all sorts of pressure on Evans, so the Bears will punt it away for their second time so far this afternoon. Parsons on the year averages about 40 yards every time he punts the football. His longest has been 46 yards.
He's back in deep punt formation now, and James Jones is standing at his own 10-yard line for the Dallas Cowboys. Parsons gets the snap, puts it up, and a long, high spiraling kick over to the left side. Jones will not attempt to run it back. Going to take the Chicago bounce. There'll be no run back. It is down at the 7-yard line. So the Cowboys will start again. They'll start from deep in their own territory. As that ball was down by Al Harris, the punt was 44 yards. So with the score, Chicago nothing and Dallas nothing. Let's take time out.
And Dallas enters this game today a heavy 2-touchdown plus favorite. They enter the game with a 9-3 record, sharing the NFC East lead with the Philadelphia Eagles, who have to play the Dolphins in Miami on Monday night. The Bears, the other way, are 3-9, are trying for their first win on the Cowboys' home turf in almost 2 decades. It was 19 years ago that they last won down in Texas. Dallas has already posted its 16th straight winning season. A win over the Bears in this one would leave the Cowboys just 1 win away from nailing down at least a wild card spot in the playoffs, and that would mark the 15th time in 16 years that Dallas would be eligible for the chase in the Super Bowl. Quite a record. Well, just one more disappointment for the Cleveland wide receiver Reggie Rucker. The 11-year NFL veteran and his teammates had hoped that they would be celebrating this Thanksgiving and looking forward to another playoff race. But at 5'7", the Browns hoped for a postseason play are all but gone, so it'll make it tough for them to get up against Cincinnati on Sunday.
Thanksgiving Day in Irving, Texas, at Texas Stadium. The Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears scoreless with 9 minutes exactly remaining to be played in the first quarter, and the ball is spotted at the 9-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. They break their huddle now. Danny White, the quarterback, brings them up. Doyset's going to right set. Ron Springs is in the left set. Now evening up is Doyset. Good back. Doyset gets it, goes to the left side, gets out to the 10-yard line. Bill Strunker gets to the 15 and goes out of bounds at the 19-yard line. It was Gary Sensick and Otis Wilson who finally ran him out of bounds.
Bears that time, Lindsey, lined up in a 5-man defensive front, and when they do that, should the Cowboys elect to pass, it puts all sorts of pressure on the defensive end, because then you've got the defensive end whose responsibility it is to cover the back coming out of the backfield, and there's probably nobody more dangerous in the game at doing that than Tony Dorsett.
They bring in an extra tight end now. Jay Salty comes into the ball game on a second and extremely short, about a yard to go. The ball is spotted short of the 19-yard line. Danny White up there. Dorsett's the lone setback. They need a yard. And now, quarterback Danny White retreating and throwing up the middle, complete to Dupree. Billy Joe Dupree. And he's at the 40-yard line. First and 10, he was wide open. On second and short, they went to the air and completed it. Henderson came across to make the tackle.
Just a straight fly pattern for big number 89, the tight end of the Dallas Cowboys, Billy Joe Dupree. A great drop by Danny White. The offensive line held their blocks. Dupree was wide open, and he turned it inside, and Henderson came over. Otherwise, it would have been another 10 or 15 yards because the corners were spread out wide.
Dorsett came into this game needing 66 yards to break his club rushing record of 1,325, set in 1978. Split back. Handoff is taken by Springs. He goes to the left side. He is stopped at the 39-yard line after a gain of a yard, making it second down and 9 yards to go. Middle linebacker Mike Singletary and Al Harris came in to make the tackle. 7 minutes, 55 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Here comes Doug Cosby, tight end into the ball game for the Dallas Cowboys. Billy Joe Dupree has gone off. Artificial turf here at Texas Stadium. Beautiful Thanksgiving afternoon.
Billy Joe, by the way, is playing in his 89th consecutive game.
Here a long time. Here's a draw play. Dorsett with a big opening, goes straight up the middle, and he stood up at the 45-yard line by Singletary. The middle linebacker. It was just a confrontation. Picked up about 6 to make it third down and 3 yards to go for the Dallas Cowboys. Beg your pardon, make that third down and 5 yards to go.
If there's an advantage in a short week in terms of preparation, it would have to be with the home team. Being here, you're familiar with the routine. You're at home. The Bears, of course, had a much shorter time. They had to travel in here to Irving, Texas, and take on the Cowboys with a short week of preparation. That was something that bothered Neil Armstrong.
Third down play, so they go into the shotgun formation. Danny White ready to receive the direct snap. He's got it. Retreats, steps up, and throws down the left sideline, and it is gathered in with a juggle, a completion down inside the 20-yard line. Taken by Tony Hill, and Henderson was stride for stride with him. Ball was bobbing up into the air, but controlled by Tony Hill, and it's spotted the 17-yard line. A 38-yard gain on the play.
Tony Hill, 31 catches, 611 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. Got about a half step on Henderson, bobbled the ball back at about the 25-yard line, and was tripped up as he went down. Otherwise, it was 6 for the Dallas Cowboys.
It is a juggling act for the Cowboys. Are threatening early here now in the first quarter. They have it preached into the 17-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Hill goes to the left side. Drew Pearson to the right side. Running back right now in the I formation. Tony Dorsett is the tailback. Here's a quick pitch to reverse, and Tony Hill has the ball. Jakes the tackler. Decides to cut back. He is at the 20-yard line and sacked up there. So they tried the end around, as it were, and Otis Wilson came in this morning for a loss of 3, making it second and 13 at the 20.
That time the Bears were not fooled, and that's what defensive coaches worry about. They try to coach to stay in your lane, stay in your territory, don't over-pursue. And that time, because the left cornerback for the Chicago Bears was able to come up and keep that play as far as containment was concerned, it went for no gain.
Drew Pearson stood out to the left side on the second and 13, running back to the now formation. Dorsett's the tailback. Right with the ball to Dorsett. He speeds to the middle and gets to the 15-yard line before he stops. Picked up a fast 5 before Jim Osborne made the tackle for the Chicago Bears.
He exploded over the right side. Kurt Peterson, 65. Jimmy Cooper, 61. Opening up the hole for Tony Dorsett. They move the ball down to the 15-yard line. Third and long, and you'll probably see the shotgun again for Danny White and the Dallas Cowboys. Again, they work with all sorts of offensive weapons. Wide receivers, men in motion, constantly trying to confuse the defense.
Dallas with the ball, 3rd and 8 at the Chicago 15. Danny White brings them up. They spread them out. White goes into the shotgun. We're waiting for the direct snap. He's got the ball. Retreats. Take a look. And he is going to be nailed before he can get rid of it. Couldn't find anybody open, and he stopped back there at the 23-yard line. Alan Page, the veteran tackle, got to him. Loss of 8 on the play will make it 4th and 16. Coming out now is Raphael Septien, who in the field goal department is 22 of 25. He leads the National Football Conference in scoring with 97 points.
Alan Page, 15 years out of Notre Dame. You've been calling his number for a long time.
Called his number at Notre Dame for a long time. An outstanding football player. Charlie Waters is going to hold at the 31. This will be a 41-yard attempt for Raphael Septien. Charlie Waters hands out stretch, waits for the snap, puts it down. Septien boots, it's up, it's carrying, and it's good. 41-yard field goal for Raphael Septien of the Dallas Cowboys with a score. Dallas 3, Chicago nothing. Let's take time out.
Well, Texas and Texas A&M are in the second quarter at College Station, and A&M is leading Texas by a score of 6-0. Of course, Texas already is in the Cotton Bowl, and that would be an embarrassment for them to lose to Texas A&M. But no surprise, folks, because Texas A&M has beaten Texas the last 2 years. Senior tailback Barry Redden had a day he'll long remember. He rushed for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns earlier today to lead Richmond to an 18-12 victory over Pennsylvania. Redden's yardage and 51 carries were single-game records for the Spiders, who finished the season at 4-7. Richmond's other score came on Scott Schrammy's 42-yard field goal. The Penn Quakers got 2 touchdown passes from Doug Marzoni and finished the season with a dismal 1-9 record and 9 consecutive losses. They won their opening game of the year, I think it was against Lafayette, and hadn't won a game since. Well, our ball game has Dallas in front 3-0 as the Bears prepare to receive the kickoff. Let's get back to Irving.
The Dallas Cowboys have taken a 3-point lead on a 41-yard field goal by Septien, a 69-yard drive on 9 plays, took 4 minutes, 56 seconds. Septien is seated up on the 35-yard line. Emory Moorhead is center deep. We're waiting for the whistle off Chuck Heberling, the referee assigned here this afternoon. Septien raises his hand to indicate that he's ready. There's the whistle. Here comes the kicker. Emory Moorhead retreating into the end zone, 3-yard deep. He's running around goal line 5, and he cuts to the left of the 10 to the 15. And he is filled just as he crossed the 15-yard line. It'll be spotted first and 10. Steve Wilson was down there to make the tackle.
A very important first quarter for the Chicago Bears, Lindsey. They have been embarrassed most of the season. They're not at all happy with a record of 3-9. But when they have been on national television, they have been blown out. This is a very important game in terms of the Chicago Bears' part. So they want to keep it close in the early going and not have another blowout early.
Exactly. Here they come now up to the line. Beth Evans doing their quarterback. Mike Cobb is the tight end. Dewey and Payton are the running back. Motion all the way across by Boschnagel. Here's Payton carrying, trying to sweep to the right side. Wants to turn the corner and goes out of bounds. After he got out to about the 23-yard line, Michael Downs ran him out.
There is the speed of a Walter Payton around that right end. He simply outran Charlie Waters, number 41 of the Cowboys, who came up, and Waters was slapping his helmet after the play. Payton by himself turned a play that looked like nothing into a gain of 6 yards. 2nd down and 4 for Walter Payton, whose average is way down this year. 7 carries, 38 yards so far in this game. He's averaging about 3.5 yards every time he makes a rush with the football.
2nd and 4 at the 23. Ken Marjoram, the Stanford rookie receiver, is in there now for the Chicago Bears. Evans giving it to Walter Payton. Tries up the middle again, veers left, and gets across the 25-yard line to the 26. Picked up about 3 on the play. It's going to be about a yard short of the first down. Mike Eggman coming in with Randy White. Makes a stop for the Dallas Cowboys.
A little bit surprised that the Bears haven't tested a somewhat suspect Cowboys secondary so far. Evans has only thrown the 1 pass, and teams that have been playing the Cowboys this year and scoring against Dallas have been doing it by the air, not on the ground. Their game plan is obviously Walter Payton left, right, and around the end, but you would think that Evans would go up top a little bit.
You would think so, because Emerson Walls and Michael Downs were very suspect in the early going, and that's where teams managed to score on the Dallas Cowboys. Here's Payton again. He's got the first. As he juggled his way up there to the 30-yard line, Steve Wilson coming in to make the tackle. It's going to be a 1st and 10 for the Chicago Bears. At their own 30, they are trailing by 3 points in this game.
That's the first down that Chicago's picked up on 3rd down. They were 0 for 2 in 3rd down conversions. Again, Chicago playing a little bit conservative right now. not testing that secondary of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, his followers have come to respect their defense a little more. Earlier in the year, they said that the defense of the Dallas Cowboys was either too young or too old. Now it's Evans. He fakes the handoff, sets back, goes long up the middle, and Preston Watts can't get there at the 30-yard line. Hands out stretch, he's trying to speed underneath it. Held by Michael Downs and Dennis Thurman, incomplete.
But he had Michael Downs beat. Thurman came over, kind of playing free safety. Evans, 45% completion ratio on the year, 6 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, threw the ball well. That's the down to throw on, first down. That's when you've got the defense confused. You've got them thinking run, maybe playing pass, but at least they're playing honest right then.
2.5 minutes remaining to be played in the first quarter. Second down, 10 yards to go. Bears ball at their own 30-yard line. Double receivers to the right side, split the running back. Dewey and Payton. Vince Evans still the quarterback. Now it's spinning out to the right side. It's Evans. He comes back to the left. Couldn't find a receiver. Drops the ball. Scramble is on. And it's still a scramble on. As it squirts out here, squirts out there. And Chicago retains possession. The Chicago Bears retain possession as Evans fumbled, and there was a scramble all over the field around the 30-yard line. It is at the 32, and it was Mike Cobb who finally had the ball cradled in his arms.
Randy White had a shot at it for the Cowboys down at the 35-yard line of the Chicago Bears. That time a little play action. Evans rolled out slightly to his right. Then White strips the ball loose. Hagman had a shot at it also, but the Bears get a break. They got it back.
So it is third down and 8 yards to go as the Bears not only got it back, they got 2 yards into the bargain. Vince Evans up there calling starting signals for Chicago. Now back a whistle stops play. A whistle stops play. The pass goes on anyway, but it's incomplete to Watts up the middle. But flags have been thrown and a whistle stop play. Delay of game indicated by the field judge, and so it will be a 5-yard penalty assessed against the Chicago Bears, meaning they didn't get it off before the 30-second clock ran out. That'll make it third and 13. Drops the ball back to the 27-yard line.
Delay of the game, offense, number 8, third down.
They always charge that against the quarterback, figuring it's his duty to get the ball snapped. I don't know why they don't charge it against the center. He's supposed to snap it.
Center can't see the clock in the end zone.
Still third down, 13 now. Evans again up there. Payton's a lone setback. Wide receiver right, a wing left. Evans retreats to setup. Throws it out to the right side, and it's incomplete. Trying to get this one off to Marjoram. Walls is covering defensively. 4th and 13 brings out the punting unit.
Walls had the ball in his possession. It was stripped loose by the intent receiver. Kevin Walls with 10 interceptions on the year. Evans did well just to get rid of the football. The Cowboys had the blitz on, and the Dallas Doomsday defense that time did their job on 3rd and long.
James Jones goes back to receive the punt now as Bob Parsons is in deep punt formation. He is a veteran, 10-year man out of Penn State. He played everything at Penn State. He was a kicker. He was a quarterback at one time. He was a tight end. Parsons gets the snap. Puts the ball up, Sullivan end over end. This time Jones speeds up, takes the ball at the 37 to the 40, 45, and he gets it up near the 48-yard line before he's stopped by Brian Beisnagel. So excellent field position here for the Dallas Cowboys. They'll start first and 10 at the 47 on a 37-yard punt.
Well, the standings in the National Conference as the teams head into action today, Dallas and Chicago. Earlier today, Detroit beat Kansas City 27-10. In the National Conference, Dallas needs this win because it wants to keep at least a share of the top spot at 9-3 in the Eastern Division. Philadelphia has time off until Monday night when they play the Dolphins in Miami. Behind Dallas and Philadelphia in the NFC East, the New York Giants, 6-6, and the Cardinals and Washington both at 5-7. Real scramble there for a wild card. In the Central Division, Minnesota the leader at 7-6, but Detroit now just a half a game back at 7-6. Minnesota 7-5, and then it's Tampa Bay at 6-6, Green Bay at 5-7, and the Bears in the cellar at 3-9. The Western Division has San Francisco with a comfortable lead, the biggest in the pro football world at 9-3. They are 3 games up on Atlanta at 6-6.
Quick pitch. Taken by Tony Dorsett. He tries the right side and gets nothing as he is run out of bounds by Dan Hampton. Texas A&M went away from Thanksgiving for a good many years, but this year they've come back and they're playing this afternoon. It's going to be third down. 5 yards to go with the ball at the 48-yard line.
I think the Cowboys could be looking ahead a little bit. They come in against the Chicago Bears, a team with a record of 3-9. Next week, they play the Baltimore Colts. Baltimore won their first game of the year. Then they lose 11 consecutive games. And after that, the Eagles come here to Texas Stadium for the game that will decide the winner of the NFC East.
You know, at the press level before the ball game today, people were talking about the battle between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. They're looking forward to it. Out of the shotgun now, Danny White looks downfield and throws up the middle, and it is complete at the 32-yard line. But the ball was dropped, and it's called incomplete now. It was held by Butch Johnson for a moment. He was hit, shaken loose, and the officials say incomplete. Todd Bell was the defender who made the hit. Ball is tossed back up to referee Chuck Irving, called it an incompletion. No catch. The fans here in Irving, Texas are not in agreement. But that's the way it is, and it brings up fourth down.
The fans can't really complain because that's the new rule change from this year where you have to come down in possession of the football with both feet in bounds, and it all goes back. It began a year ago, the game you and I did in Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium, when Butch Johnson caught the touchdown pass. The Atlanta people didn't think it was a good grab, but on the replay it showed he did not have possession for what the NFL people thought was an appropriate amount of time, so they made the rule change, thus this incompletion.
You're exactly right. Fisher is deep now. Charlie punt is off and down to the end zone, and so it's going to be brought out to the 20-yard line, put in play first and 10 at the 20-yard line. 48-yard punt with no return for the touchback, and so the Dallas Cowboys get nothing out of that possession, despite the fact that they had excellent field position, and the Chicago Bears will start at the 20-yard line. We have 30 seconds remaining to be played in the first quarter of this game, and the Dallas Cowboys are leading by a score of 3-0.
And if you're the Chicago Bears who escaped the first quarter here in Texas Stadium 3-0, and you come in with a record of 3-9 against the division leader with a record of 9-3, that's a good 15 minutes of football.
Got to be very pleased with that. Now Chicago up to the line. Beth Evans, the quarterback. Running back to the now formation, Stewie is the fullback. Here's the quick pitch to Walter Payton across the left side. And he gets out to the 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, cuts back, 45, and Walter Payton is finally dragged down to the 41-yard line of Dallas. Bob Brunig and Michael Dowd finally stop Walter Payton, who showed the fans here in Texas a little fancy stepping Payton style for 39 yards in the first down.
And what a move he put on Michael Dowd back at the line of scrimmage. Payton carrying that loaf of bread football out there in one arm, give a little juke to the inside, cut it outside, left Michael Dowd standing there all alone, and he was off to the races.
Time has run out in the period, and that's the end of the first quarter with the score, Dallas 3, Chicago nothing.
Well, as the Dallas Cowboy coach, Tom Landry, said before this confrontation with the 3-9 Bears, you've got to watch Walter Payton. He is the heart and soul of their offense, and he proved it on that run. A great move by Payton, who dashed in and then cut to the outside, was by two Dallas defenders before they knew what happened, and sprinted down the sideline for a 40-yard pickup, and that's got to boost the Bears. Payton not having one of his better years, but he is approaching 900 yards on the season, and that'll put him very close to it. Payton would like to get 1,000 yards, and he seems to be a sure bet to do that because he has been playing hard, and he is even Coach Landry and his own coach, Neil Armstrong, says nobody in the National Football League is trying harder and tries harder each and every week than Walter Payton. And Walter, even though he's having an off year for him, is still the fourth all-time leading rusher in the NFL. He stands only behind the great Jimmy Brown, O.J. Simpson, and Franco Harris, and his health remaining what should be for at least another 3 or 4 or 5 years in the NFL. And if they get a little more power and punch in that offensive wall for Chicago, Walter Payton could finish among the top 3, or maybe even if he stays healthy and plays a longer time, Walter Payton could become the #1 rusher in NFL history. Going into this season, Walter Payton had a little over 8,500 yards and is now approaching 9,400 yards. So he's doing very well.
In the first quarter, Walter Payton carried the ball 10 times for 84 yards, so he's off to another fine afternoon. And that doubles and triples and almost quadruples the entire Bears offense in their loss to Detroit from a week ago, and they amassed only 24 yards. Tony Dorsett, 6 carries for 26 yards. Interestingly, though, the Bears had no yards passing, no turnovers for either team. As far as the Cowboys are concerned, 58 yards passing, and that led to that 41-yard field goal by Rafael Septien, who has just set a new single-season record for field goals for the Dallas Cowboys with 23, and he tied the Cowboys' all-time career field goal record, set by Mike Clark with 69. You remember Mike Clark? You? Indeed.
And now we're ready to go with the second quarter. Lindsey Nelson and Jim Kelly here at Texas Stadium. The Chicago Bears held the ball first and 10 at the Dallas 41-yard line. Here they come out of the huddle and up to the line. 10-7, the quarterback running back to the I formation. Matt Stewart ahead of Walter Payton. Evans still calling starting signals, waiting for the snap. Quick pitch to Walter Payton. Tries the left side. Takes a wrinkle outside and goes out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Michael Down. The rookie free safety ran him out of bounds after a gain of 2. It'll be second down and 8 yards to go.
And you get the feeling Michael Downs, the rookie, is going to know Walter Payton and his moves very well before this afternoon is over. Matt Suey came up and threw quite a block on number 32, Dennis Thurman, at the 40-yard line to allow Payton to turn the corner and pick up a short 2 yards.
Marjoram and Watts come into the ball game now. Wide receivers for the Chicago Bears. Tight end Robin Earl comes off the field. They had 2 tight ends in there, and Boschnagel comes out. Mike Kopp stays in. Split running back. Wide receivers left and right. Evans up there waiting for the snap for the Chicago Bears. Walter Payton's in the left set. Now Evans sprints back, throws up the middle, and it's to it. He can't get to it. It's the 10-yard line. Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker, has picked up through it, and he was trying to stretch his body out and get his fingertips on the ball at the 10, and he couldn't do it.
Sometimes if there's a criticism of number 8, Vince Evans, who, by the way, got his first start 2 years ago against these same Dallas Cowboys, it is his inability to look off the receiver for whom he is intending to pass originally. Ricky Watts was freaking on a post pattern across the middle. He was wide open. At that time, Evans was looking at Suey out of the backfield as they isolated the back on the linebacker one-on-one. The Bears come up third down, 8 to go. They are 1 out of 4 in third down conversion.
Cobb is out of the ball game. Brooks Williams in there at the tight end now. Running back is Evans to set up. Goes to the right side. And it's gathered in for a completion taken by Williams. Brooks Williams goes out of bounds at the 25-yard line. That'll be a first down and 10 yards to go for Chicago at the Dallas 25.
Butch Williams, number 83, a big, good-looking tight end for the Chicago Bears. 18 catches, 126 yards in 12 football games, only averaging about 7 yards. 2 touchdowns, however, for the Chicago Bears. Number 83, 6'4", 226 in his 4th year, former Tar Heel from North Carolina.
As they spotted the inbound marker at his first and 10 at the 23-yard line. Running back to the I formation. That's still Matt Suey in there, and still Walter Payton is the tailback. Vince Evans the quarterback. And it's Matt Suey. Tries to go over left guard, and he gets inside the 20-yard line to the 19. Before he's pulled down after a gain of 4 yards, it'll be second down and 6 yards to go for Chicago, trailing by 3 points. Michael Downs made the tackle.
How about this? If the Chicago Bears take a 7-3 lead over the Cowboys here in Dallas, that might change their outlook on this Thanksgiving game considerably.
It would change the outlook of a lot of Texas football fans. You can bet on that. Most of them have had the big Thanksgiving dinner before they came out here this afternoon.
Well, they have 3 or 4.
Well, you're right. Here's Walter Payton on a draw play, and he gets only to the 20-yard line. Lost a yard. It'll be third down and 7, and it was Mike Heckman, the left outside linebacker, who missed the Muncie season with a broken arm, but is back in good form here and made the tackle for the Dallas Cowboys.
In Texas, they do things big. They have Thanksgiving breakfast, Thanksgiving brunch, Thanksgiving lunch, and Thanksgiving dinner.
I noticed that at the hotel coming out. I personally had Thanksgiving Mexican food myself. I'll plan some more later on. Third down, 7 yards to go at the 20-yard line. Now split running back. Payton in the left set. Matt Suey in the right set. Evans now being chased out of the catch and away. He's stopped back at the 27-yard line. He was really daunted the moment he got the football there. Charlie Waters and Dickerson, Anthony Dickerson. So it is fourth down coming up now and 14.
And that's an indication of just how Tom Landry feels his defense has come on in the 12 games. As Lindsey said they were either too young or too old as the season began, but they have meshed together as a unit. That time he allowed single coverage, one-on-one on all the Bears receivers. They blitzed Charlie Waters, they blitzed the linebackers, and it resulted in a quarterback sack.
Rivetto will try a 44-yarder with Avellini holding, and there's the kick. It's in the air. The 44-yarder for Rivetto is good, and the score is tied. And with the score tied, Chicago Bears 3, Dallas Cowboys 3. Let's take time out.
A moment ago, we mentioned that Walter Payton is fourth behind Jimmy Brown, O.J. Simpson, and Franco Harris in all-time NFL rushing, and that is correct. The yardage we gave you was a little off. We said 9,400. Walter entered this game with a little over 9,200 yards, and he should probably pass 9,300 as the afternoon wears on. He's having a good day. He's got about 45 yards rushing thus far. In the National Football League American Conference standings, the big game for Miami after that tough loss to the New York Jets last Sunday will be this Monday night against Philadelphia down in the Orange Bowl. Miami at 7-4-1, find the Jets at 7-4-1. Of course, the Jets probably at home will be favored over a very weak Baltimore Colts team that has won only one of 12 starts this year. Buffalo in the East behind Miami and the Jets still in contention with a record of 7-5.
The Chicago Bears have come back to tie the score. 53-yard drive, 8 plays, 2 minutes, 25 seconds, a 44-yard field goal by Rivetto, who has seized the ball up on the 35. Now, James Jones has dropped back underneath Roy Fellows on one side, Timmy Newsom on the other to receive the kickoff for the Dallas Cowboys. Sun shining brightly through the aperture overhead here in this magnificent football stadium that is sold out again this afternoon, 65,000 plus change. We have 13 minutes, 5 seconds remaining to be played in the first half. Here is Rivetto. He puts it up. James Jones moves over in front of Fellows, and Jones takes it at the 2-yard line. He's back to the 5, cuts towards the middle of the field, running across it to 10, 15 to the 20, and he gets it to the 24-yard line, run back by James Jones, and he was stopped by Moorhead. 23-yard return, so it'll be 1st and 10 now for the Dallas Cowboys, who find themselves tied with the Chicago Bears.
I imagine there are a few Cowboys over the bench that are surprised at the intensity with which the Bears have played the first part of this football game. The feeling was this could be a shootout, and very early.
Exactly. 1st and 10 at the 24-yard line. Danny White brings them up. Ron Springs, Tony Dorsett now shifting into an I formation. Usual movement by the Dallas Cowboys. Now the forward pass, and it's incomplete. Intended for Tony Hill, and he was hit, or rather intended for Drew Pearson. He was hit and sandwiched by Doug Blank just at the time when he was making his move. And he's still on all fours. Drew Pearson is down near the 41-yard line. The pass was incomplete, of course.
What a hit by number 46, Doug Plank, who was actually playing free safety. The man who was covering him, Terry Schmidt, the 8-year man out of Ball State, was with him stride for stride. The ball was perfectly thrown by Danny White, but Plank came up and separated Pearson from the football, and for a moment, Pearson from his senses. He's still down on the 42-yard line. Doug Plank, perhaps one of the hardest hitters in the National Football League, and 7th year from Ohio State.
The hand is for Drew Pearson as he gets up now and is walking under his own power off toward the Cowboy bench on the far side of the field with the assistance now of some members of the training staff. Hit and hit hard. Butch Johnson has replaced him now at the wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, who'll have it 2nd and 10 at the 24-yard line.
Drew Pearson, 9 years in the NFL out of Tulsa, one of the premier wide receivers in the league, also has a television show here in Dallas. He might take the night off after that hit by Doug Plank, however.
I should say. Doug Cosby's the tight end of the ballgame just now. Here comes Butch Johnson out to a wide left. Danny White up there now as they shift the running back split formation. White waits for the snap. Goes to a high count. An even higher count. Still no snap. Now. Handoff is in close to Ron Springs, and he is sacked up quickly by the defense of the Chicago Bears, led by middle linebacker Mike Singletary, and tackle Jim Osborne. At the 25-yard line, gain of a yard on the play will make it 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Pearson cuts back in.
You can kind of see the Bears defense gaining momentum as this game gets underway. Early on, Danny White had things pretty much his own way. The running of Tony Dorsett, White was 3 for 3, 66 yards, drove the Cowboys down into field goal range. White has missed his last 2 passes. The Bears defense playing now with more intensity, more as a team.
This is a big play. 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Drew Pearson comes out to a wide left. Butch Johnson is double to the left side. They shift into the shotgun. Danny White drops back about 7 yards, waiting for a direct snap. Tight end in motion across. Here's the snap. Taken by Danny White. Throws to the right side and incomplete. At the 35-yard line. In and out of the hands of Jay Saldy. At the 35. Defensive covering. Penalty marker back. Holding is indicated against the Dallas Cowboys. If the Bears declare, will bring up the punting down.
Neil Armstrong waving his arms over on the Bears sideline. He'd rather have the football back with about 12 minutes left to go.
I do not blame him at all.
Rivetto 3, Septien 3.
Holding offense number 64. Refuse. 4th down.
Tom Rafferty was the culprit. Refuse means they go into punt formation now, and it is Danny White back to do the kicking. And Jeff Fisher standing back on his own 30 for the Chicago Bears. Danny White waits for the direct snap, gets it, puts the kick up, doesn't carry deeply, fair catch, and it is made at the 43-yard line. It's Boschnagel who made the fair catch, so the Chicago Bears start first and 10. It's spotted at the 44-yard line. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Continuing our look at the standings in the American Conference, as we said, in the East, it's Miami and the Jets at 7-4-1. Buffalo at 7-5, and of course New England and Baltimore are out of it. New England at 2-10, and Baltimore at 1-11. In the Central Division, Cincinnati having a big year behind quarterback Ken Anderson, who has really come on strong. 9-3 their record. Pittsburgh just hanging on at 7-5, and Cleveland and Houston at 5-7. Though mathematically alive, their chances are very, very slim. They're hanging on by their fingernails. In the Western Division, Denver is now all alone in first place because Kansas City lost its Thanksgiving Day game earlier today at Detroit, 27-10 to the Lions. So at the moment, Kansas City slips into second place at 8-5, and San Diego can make it a triple-way tie for the top spot in the West if it can beat Denver on Sunday afternoon. Oakland is behind at 5-7, still alive mathematically. Seattle out of it at 4-8.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Jim Kelly here in Texas for this Thanksgiving afternoon game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. It's a 3-3 tie. Chicago has the ball first and 10 after 44. As Jim has pointed out, it was expected in many quarters that this game might be over rather quickly because the Chicago Bears were coming off their worst performance against Detroit when they had a total offense of only 24 yards. And the thought was that the Dallas Cowboys were 9-3 and coming in off of a big win over Washington might blow them out. That has not happened. Robin Earl, Mike Cobb, double tight end allowed running back to the I formation for Vince Evans up there for the Chicago Bears. Here's a quick pitch to Walter Payton. Tries the right side. Wrinkles at the tackle. Spins his way up across the 50. And is stopped right there across the 50-yard line by Bob Brunig and Charlie Waters.
Walter Payton rapidly approaching 100 yards in the first half. He has been just about the entire Chicago Bears offense. Evans has gone to the air sparingly, and that's still a big surprise. Why they're not testing the somewhat suspect secondary of the Dallas Cowboys, a unit that has played up and down football games by virtue of the Dallas Cowboy record of 9-3.
Watch goes to the left side. Boschnagel comes out to the right side in the 2nd and 4 at the 50-yard line. Suey and Payton the setback. Here is Suey trying to pick up the first down. He got a couple of yards but was sacked up at the 48-yard line by Harvey Martin. Ran into the big fella after he picked up 2. Rooney again to make the tackle as well. 3rd down and 2 yards to go for the Chicago Bears. Tight end Mike Cobb comes in now, bringing in a play, and Boschnagel comes out of the ball game. It's Robin Earl and Mike Cobb. Double tight end alignment on the 3rd and short. 10 minutes, 43 seconds remaining to be played in the first half. Suey had a Payton in the I formation. Here's Payton. Tries the right side, and he's got the first and 10. Puts his head down, drives to the 43-yard line before Michael Downs comes in to make the stop.
There's is the great speed, the great acceleration of number 34, Walter Payton. Actually, the doomsday defense of Dallas had him stopped back at about the 50-yard line. He just slithered through there. There wasn't a block. He did it all on his own and picked up another Chicago Bears first down all the way at the 43-yard line of Chicago. Walter Payton now just about 1 yard shy of 100 yards in this first half.
Ricky Watts comes out of the ball game. Ken Marjoram comes in. Earl and Cobb Stiller double tight on the line with the running back to split. Payton to the left side. Looks for an opening. It closes before he can speed through at the 40-yard line. He picked up 3 on the play. Second down and 7 yards to go. Bob Running, the middle linebacker, got there for the stop.
It's quite a tribute to the Chicago Bears, to their head coach, Neil Armstrong, and the assistants, the intensity with which the Bears have played coming in. Cowboys got on the board first, 3-0, and since that time, Lindsey, Dallas has done nothing offensively.
Absolutely. It's been a fired-up ball game so far for the Chicago Bears, who came in here with a record of 3 wins and 9 losses. Second down, 7 yards to go. Running back to split. Dropping back is Vince Evans. Sets it up and looks. Now speeds out to the right side. Goes back to the left side. He's scrambling. He throws it, and there's a diving catch made by Payton. With no contact, he gets up and advances the ball to the 42-yard line. It'll be a loss of 2 on the play with a scramble all around, and Payton took the bad. He was down with no contact, so he got up and scrambled, and they hit Too Tall Jones, was the man who almost got to Evans, was sending him on the scamper.
The crowd is booing, but it was simply a great play by the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, number 8, Vince Evans. Ed Too Tall Jones, Harvey Martin, with all kinds of pressure on the youngster, and he scrambled out, and as he was going down, before his knees hit the ground, falling to his left, rolling to his right with one arm, somehow got the ball to Walter Payton to avoid a huge loss.
Third down and 9 yards to go. Chicago at the 42-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. Vince Evans has the ball. Comes back to set up and puts it up to the right side, and it's incomplete. Intended for Brooks Williams. Michael Downs covering defensively as the punting unit comes on.
That time Charlie Waters was blitzing again. You wonder if Dallas did learn something looking at the films after that loss to Detroit. They had a young Eric Kipple, a Lions quarterback. They didn't blitz. They gave him lots of time to throw. Result, Detroit 27, Dallas 24. Last week, no contest. Washington lost to the Dallas Cowboys on the rebound. But this afternoon, Dallas is blitzing Vince Evans and making him rush his throws, making his timing off.
Parsons gets the snap, puts the kick up. James Jones is going to let it go. And it goes out of bounds with no run back. It'll be lined up by the officials along the sideline. And it's going to be at the 23-yard line. So with the score tied, Chicago 3, Dallas 3. Let's take time out.
Well, in that game earlier today between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs, won by Detroit 27-10. Incidentally, Detroit is now 6-0 at home this year. They're perfect at the Silverdome. Detroit wound up with the statistical edge in the ball game. Detroit had 21 first downs to Kansas City's 14. 171 yards rushing to Kansas City's 116. The only edge for Kansas City was in passing, 129 to 114. And the sacks were the big story. Detroit had 5 sacks for 40 yards, and Kansas City had 3 for but 18 yards. And in the passing department, well, Eric Kipple was rather conservative today. Didn't really put the ball up in the air too much. Was 10 for 22 for 132 yards. And the combination of Fuller and Kenny for Kansas City, 14 of 25. The fumbles, there were 3 by Detroit. They lost 1, and Kansas City lost its only fumble. Time of possession was pretty even. 30 minutes for Kansas City, 29 and a half for the Lions.
This time the Dallas Cowboys start from their own 23-yard line. First down, 10 yards to go. Can the Chicago Bears defense continue to contain these Dallas Cowboys with 8 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the first half? Billy Joe Dupree and Jay Salty double tight on alignment. Danny White, the quarterback, bending and waiting for the snap. They spread him out, double receivers to the left side. Now on the draw play, it is taken out to the 24-yard line. Ron Springs carrying, and so there's a gain of only a yard on the play. It'll be second down and 9 yards to go. Mike Singletary came in to make the tackle.
Yeah, it's been rather quiet offensively for the Cowboys, but they really haven't seen the complex Chicago Bears defense all season long. Neil Armstrong, 8 years defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. A very elaborate defensive plan. Not as elaborate as the Cowboys, but certainly something that the Dallas offense has not faced all season.
Split back. Springs in the right set. Dorsett in the left set. Now it Springs in motion outside right. Dropping back is Danny White. He scrambles to the right side. Looks downfield. Throws back across field. And it is incomplete. Judge Crosby, the man for whom it was intended, that I do not know a great many coaches who like to see that ball thrown back across the grain from a quarterback scrambling out to the right side. Dan Hampton was the man putting the pressure on.
Crosby was, as they say, in the vicinity, but he too was running left to right, and he was against the grain, tried to reverse his field a little bit, but that ball hung up there, and had anybody been available playing center field for the Bears, that would have been an interception.
It'll be now 3rd down and 9 yards to go. The Bears the ball at their own 24-yard line.
Cowboys have only 2 first downs, Lindsey, and 1 out of 5 on 3rd down conversion.
Off there once again. Into the shotgun. Danny White out back to take the direct snap. There's Ron Springs in motion outside left. Here's the snap taken by White. He's out back, avoids the first right. Now decides to stare at the football. Almost loses his balance. He gains it and drives out to the 33, and the ball gets loose. Scramble is on. Chicago's got the ball, and White is hurt. The Dallas Cowboy quarterback is hurt, and he's holding his ribs. He's down there on his back, rolling around and playing at the 33. The ball recovered by Chicago at the 40-yard line. Members of the training staff for the Dallas Cowboys coming out to the field about the quarterback, who is injured on the scramble. Chicago with the ball 1st and 10 at the Dallas 40-yard line.
And the way Danny White is lying down on the 33-yard line, he's not going to be getting up for quite some time. He was chased out of the pocket. The Bears that time came with a safety blitz from the left side. White scrambled out, had a notion to run, looked for a receiver, then tucked the ball in, chased down from behind, stumbled at about the 35-yard line, was kind of slithered and then sandwiched by 3 Chicago Bears. The ball came loose immediately. Down went Danny White. He didn't move, and then the huge scramble, and the Bears take advantage of the turnover, start just outside the Dallas Cowboy 40-yard line. But again, White, he was scissored in there by 3 separate Chicago Bears. The initial hit being made by number 90, Al Harris, 6'5", 240 from Arizona State. With the score, the Cowboys 3, Chicago 3. Let's take time out.
Well, that's not good news for the Dallas Cowboys. As Tom Landry said, when a quarterback runs with the football, there's a lot of problems that can develop. And for the Cowboys right now, it looks as though Danny White may be taking the rest of the afternoon off. He really took a shot, was sandwiched in by 2 Bears in the secondary, and was hit hard as he was going down from opposite directions, and could have suffered some rib or shoulder injury, it appears. He's still laying down on the ground, and the Dallas trainer and the club physician are out there attending to him. As we said earlier, Eric Hipple threw 2 touchdown passes to give Detroit a 27 victory over Kansas City. The win lifted the Lions' record to 7-6, while Kansas City slipped to 8-5. Hipple marched Detroit 73 yards on its first possession, capping the drive with a 10-yard TD pass to tight end David Hill. He also hit wide receiver Freddie Scott on a 40-yard scoring strike with 4:29 left in the first half.
Danny White has left the field under his own power, and Dallas supporters hope that he was only winded. The ball was recovered by Doug Plank for the Chicago Bears, who will start now 1st and 10 after Dallas 40. The score is tied 3-3. We have 7 minutes, 15 seconds remaining to be played in the first half here at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas on this Thanksgiving afternoon.
The Bears have started, Lindsey, at their own 22, their own 43, their own 17, their own 20, and their own 44. This is the best field position Chicago's enjoyed, almost at the 40-yard line of Dallas. Danny White, 3 out of 7, 66 yards, and they are working on his neck over on the Cowboys sideline right now.
What do you do on first down? Do you go deep and try to get the score right here?
I would go to the tight end. I think that the tight end has been underused in the Bears' attack all season long. I think with everybody keying on a Walter Payton, a little play fake into the line, and then Payton on a dive, and you pop it, you've got a big, strong quarterback like Vince Evans.
Well, we've got it figured out. Let's see if the Bears have. Here they come up to the line. Vince Evans sending in to take the snap, running back to the now formation, 2 ahead of Walter Payton. Now Evans spinning out to the left side. Drops back and he throws to the left sideline, and it's gathered in. Taken over there by Ricky Watt. Dennis Thurman made the hit immediately. Ricky Watt made the catch, and he's still down. He was hit hard. It's about the 28-yard line. Dennis Thurman is the man who made the hit, and now it'll be members of the Chicago training staff going back, and now the indication is incomplete.
D.D. Lewis was over there screaming that Watts did not have possession of the football when he came down. In fact, it did not. The ball came loose. The back official did not make the indication. They had a conclave, and finally it was ruled incomplete on the pass to Ricky Watts. Vince Evans goes over. Watts is down now. Dennis Thurman with a tremendous hit.
Second down.
Excellent call by the officials because the ball was clearly loose before Watts came down with it. And as Tom Barton, our engineer, correctly pointed out, a lot of the players for Chicago and the Cowboys will be having their Thanksgiving turkey with Novocaine.
You're so right. Ricky Watts got up. He's coming off the field under his own power, but members of the training staff on either side giving him a little assistance. It'll be second down and 10 yards to go at the 40-yard line. Ken Marjoram has come in now at a wide receiver. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Jim Kelly at Texas Stadium, where the Cowboys and the Chicago Bears are in a 3-3 tie. Second down, 10 yards to go for Chicago at the Dallas 40-yard line. 6 minutes, 59 seconds left to play in the first half. Brooks Williams has come into the ballgame at the tight end now.
It's quite a credit to the Chicago Bears defense. It's 3-3. Vince Evans, 2 out of 9 passing, only 7 yards. Still a tie football game.
Marjorum's in a wide right. Evans now backs up, throws over the middle, and this one is gathered in. A fight for the football, but taken for a completed pass by Brooks Williams. Michael Downs had his hands on the ball as well, but Williams got it, and it'll be completed just inside the 28-yard line.
There's the 4-year tight end out of North Carolina, number 83. Good size, good hands, 6'4", 226. Simply a little curl pattern to the outside. They get the linebacker isolated on him one-on-one. He cleared the linebacker. It's the safety man's responsibility. Michael Downs came up, tried to strip him of the football, but a good grab by the tight end. First down, Bears driving in Dallas territory.
Bears first and 10 after Dallas. 28-yard line, running back to the I formation for Vince Evans. It's Matt Truey. Up there, Payton is the tailback in the I formation. Evans now with a quick pitch to Payton, tries the left side. Cut back across the line of scrimmage, gets inside the 25, goes to the 23-yard line. Charlie Waters, the veteran, strong safety, made the tackle. A gain of 5 yards on the play, second and 5.
Matt Dewey from Penn State throwing the big block on the left side. Walter Payton saw the hole close up there, cut it back against the grain and picked up 4. Second down and 6. Clock winding down, 5:50 left in this first half. In a 3-3 football game, the Dallas Cowboys came in favored in some quarters by as much as 2 touchdowns.
Double tight end alignment, Big Robin Errol, all 240 pounds on him, comes in there now. Second and 5, running back to the I formation. Evans waiting for the snap. Here's a quick pitch to Payton, tries the right side. Again, he drives for it and gets to the 20-yard line. Tries to call for it another yard. It'll be spotted at the 20 for a gain of 3, and that'll make it third down and 2 yards to go. John Dutton and Ed Jones in to make the tackle.
Now, this is an interesting play call for Neil Armstrong, Vince Evans and company. Walter Payton, 17 carries, 108 yards on the afternoon. You don't want to risk an interception right here. You want to come out of this drive, the drive you started in Dallas territory, with some points on the afternoon, or some points on this particular drive. You would think pass, but obviously the way they've run in the first half, you got a key on number 34, Walter Payton.
And he is the tailback in the I formation as Evans waits for the snap. Truey is just ahead of Payton. Payton gets the snap now, and he's trying to scramble to the line of scrimmage. Can't get there. The Dallas defense led by John Dutton and Randy White closed Payton off before he could get any running room. He did not get back to the line of scrimmage.
That's the trouble when you've got an offense that is based on one-man performance. You can key on him. That's exactly what John Dutton did. He simply slithered through the line, evaded his block. He was waiting for Payton almost by the time Walter Payton took the pitch. Word from the Dallas bench, Danny White suffering bruised wrist. He is being checked over now, and no decision yet has been made as to whether or not he will return.
Avellini will hold at the 30. That makes it a 40-yard field goal attempt for John Rivetto. John Rivetto attempting a 40-yarder. It's down, it's up, it's staring, and it is not good. It is far to the left side, and it'll be put in play by Dallas at the line of scrimmage since it was kicked outside the 20-yard line. Score remains tied at 3-3, and they'll spot the ball at the line of scrimmage on the 22-yard line. Then Carano is going to quarterback the Dallas Cowboys. Carano will be the quarterback. Bruised ribs for Danny White. And the Cowboys will start outside their own 22-yard line. Here are the 23. First and 10.
He's a 5-year man out of Nevada, Las Vegas. He's only thrown 12 passes all season long, completing 3 of them. And he's in there now. to join Jack Buck and Hank Stram coming up this Monday night from the Orange Bowl in Miami as Don Shula's Dolphins tied for the lead in the AFC East. He will play host to the Philadelphia Eagles, tied for the lead in the NFC East. The game coming up at 8:50 airtime Eastern time on Monday, November the 30th. Then on Thursday, December the 3rd, Cleveland will play at Houston. Again, airtime is 8:50. Pittsburgh and Oakland on Monday, December 7th. Lindsey and I will have a doubleheader game for you on Saturday, December the 12th. The Jets will be in Cleveland. Lindsey and I will be in the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. And another doubleheader here on CBS Radio on Saturday, December the 12th. That game we told you about. Then on the 19th, another doubleheader.
All right, first and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. Score still tied, 3-3, 4:09 remaining to be played in the first half. Carano is the quarterback. Dorsett's the tailback. He gets the handout. Tries the right side. Gets up to the 25-yard line, and that's all. 2 yards for Tony Dorsett. Makes the second out of 8 yards to go. Doug Plank. And to make the tackle from his free safety spot for the Chicago Bears.
Dallas drive so far in the first half has started at their own 4, their 10, 47 of the Cowboys, their own 25, their own 23, and their own 23-yard line. 3-3, a field goal game so far. And the Bears, Lindsey, you've got the starting quarterback out of the Cowboys, who maybe can go in at halftime tied 3-all. They can suddenly think, hey, we can win this football game.
Then Carano brings him up. Dorsett's the lone set back there in a slot left. Saldy's in the ball game. He's in motion outside right. There's the pass to Saldy. Slam again, and it is incomplete. Off his fingertips, trying for the interception was Finchik. He was trying to dive to get the ball before it could hit the turf. He could not, so it's going to be third down and 8 yards to go at the 25-yard line for the Dallas Cowboys.
And you cannot fault the young Dallas quarterback there. Carano is 6'3", 198, as we said, in his 5th year from Nevada, Las Vegas. That ball was thrown right on the money. That time the receiver did not make a very catchable grab.
Third down play coming now for the Dallas Cowboys. Clock stopped on the incompletion. 3:27 remaining in the first half.
Alan Page that time put good pressure on Carano. Page actually sacked him. If Carano gets hurt, the next Dallas quarterback is going to be Drew Pearson.
Carano now in the shotgun. Gets the direct snap, and he puts it up to the left side of Tony Hill. Incomplete. Tony Hill and Henderson playing tag back and forth. It was bad. I think there should have been an interference call. There was not. Tony Hill is talking to one of the officials, but it'll be 4th and 8 and the punting unit is coming on. Todd Bell was the man putting the pressure on Carano, making him unload the ball before he wanted to.
He crunched Carano, and he was down. I'm not so sure that Tony Hill doesn't have justification for a complaint. It was right in front of the Chicago bench. But back there on the defense, number 20, Reuben Henderson, and a rookie from San Diego State, and there was some bumping going on way beyond the 5-yard zone.
Danny White comes in to do the punting. He is the number 1 punter, and he's going to punt despite the bruised ribs. Gets the snap. Fisher's deep for Chicago. As the spiraling kickoff to the right side, there'll be no run back. It hits the 41, and it takes a Dallas bounce. It's inside the 25 and still going. It's inside the 20 and still going. What a roll! And it's at the 16-yard line. 59-yard punt. What's all the hullabaloo upfield?
Back at the 25-yard line, tempers are flaring.
Penalty marker's gone down. Players crowded around the officials. Chicago indicating that it is a Dallas penalty, and that's what it is. Chuck Everling, the referee, indicates that it is a personal foul against the Cowboys, and Everling will tell us about it as soon as he places the ball at the 30-yard line. Chuck Everling, the referee.
Unnecessary roughness, number 55, after the play, first down.
Danny Stradlin, a rookie, made a rookie mistake. A reserve linebacker out of Tennessee on the specialty team. And he was the culprit, so that negated a 60-yard punt. Backed it up, made a net 45-yard change. First and 10 Bears at their own 30.
Evans is up there now, waiting to take the snap. Turns and looks right through Clyde, and it's completed. Taken by Richard Watson. The ball gets away. Campbell is on, and Chicago recovers. Michael Downs recovers. As they unstack him now, Michael Downs seemed to have it, and little fisticuffs going on down there as Gundy the officials have to step in, and we'll get this straightened out at any minute.
Dan Neal, the center, 9 years out of Kentucky, having some words with Michael Downs. Simply a little square-out pattern to the wide receiver, number 80, Ricky Watts, who made the grab and then was stripped of the ball. And the intensity in this football game, ever since the hit on Danny White, has picked up noticeably on both sides.
So the Dallas Cowboys get the ball at the Chicago 41-yard line on the recovery by Downs, and it's Glenn Carano still quarterbacking. Carano is in there waiting for the snap now. Split back. Carano drops back to look. Looks to the right side and guns the football way short. Way short, incomplete. Hit the turf in front of Drew Pearson. Way in front of Drew Pearson. 2nd and 10 from the 41-yard line.
Interesting. Tom Landry calls the pass play on first down. You've got a young quarterback in there who, coming into this football game, has only thrown 9 passes. That's the kind of confidence he has in his offensive line and in his backup quarterback. That time, however, understandably tight, I would think. Glenn simply held onto the football and misfired. Word from the bench now, Danny White still being examined. He has, they say, a bruised chest wall and will not return to quarterback in this half.
Carano has the ball. He gives it to Tony Dorsett. He sees for a hole in the right side. Gets inside the 35 and goes all the way to the 32-yard line. Stopped by Gary Finsick at the 32.
And Dorsett exploding over the right side. Again, Kurt Peterson, 65. Jim Cooper, 61. They're the guard and tackle respectively on that side, opening up a huge hole. Clock winding down. 2:30 and counting. The Cowboys have all 3 of their timeouts left, as do the Chicago Bears.
Going to be 3rd down and a long yard to go for the Dallas Cowboys. They come up in an I formation initially now. Tony Dorsett's the tailback. Ron Springs ahead of him. Now they split it out by sending Dorsett left. He comes back to the tailback. Lots of movement. Galdi in motion. The wing left across. Short drop by Carano and mixed up, and he goes nowhere. As Al Harris finally pulled him down, he spun out of there and was all alone. As we approach the 2-minute warning, we have reached it, and that is the automatic timeout. 2-minute warning. We'll be back in just a moment.
Los Angeles Rams coach Ray Malavasi says Pat Hayden will start at quarterback for the rest of the season. Hayden was benched 3 games ago and replaced by Dan Pastorini, but Pastorini was unable to reverse the Rams' current slide. And Hayden came off the bench last Sunday to lead the team against San Francisco and did a fine job, even though the 49ers won the game on a field goal kicked by Ray Wersching in the final seconds. The Rams' next game is Sunday against the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and their playoff chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. Hayden Fry has been named the UPI's Big Ten Coach of the Year for guiding the Iowa Hawkeyes into the Rose Bowl. Iowa, which hasn't had a winning season since 1961, claimed a share of the Big Ten crown in its final game of the season when the Hawkeyes defeated Michigan State 36-7 and Ohio State upended Michigan. Iowa finished the regular season with an 8-3 record, including wins over Nebraska, UCLA, and Michigan.
Here at Texas Stadium, the score is tied 3-3. It is 4th down and about 2.5 or 3 yards to go for the Dallas Cowboys. The ball is spotted squarely at the Chicago 33, and the field goal unit is in there for the Dallas Cowboys. Charlie Waters is in the hole. Raphael steps in, and it'll be something like a 50-yarder as soon as they get them lined up. We'll mark it for you exactly. As we have had a field goal game so far, the Chicago Bears just missed one, and now Waters is going to set up at the 41, making the 51-yard attempt. A 51-yard attempt for Raphael Sefti and hash mark right.
He's 5 out of 7 between the 40 and the 49. This is his first try from outside of 50 yards on the year.
Waters, hand out stretch, waits for the snap, gets a high snap, puts it down. Here's Sefti on kick, and it is short. And it goes over at the line of scrimmage, which is the 33-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Chicago Bears.
Now, don't forget that the Dallas Cowboys have lost Danny White not only as a quarterback, but also as the holder for Septien. Waters is the backup, number 41. The snap was high, in fairness to Charlie Waters. And Septien kicked about 5 or 6 yards shy, so it stays a 3-3 game. You take a look at the total yardage in the game. The Dallas Cowboys, 146 yards. The Bears, rather, 146 yards total yardage, and Dallas is 99 yards. So quite a credit to that Chicago defense. came in ranked rather low in the NFC as far as things go against, of course, one of the more potent offenses in the NFC and in the entire NFL, the Dallas Cowboys.
Here come the Bears now, first and 10 at their own 33-yard line. Mixed up on the snap, but Chicago retains possession. They recover the fumble. Matt Stewart got the football. As Evans took the snap and started back, he dropped the ball. And Stewart, who was in the right set, simply fell on it. So they take the loss. They keep the football. It's at the 29-yard line, second and 14. They're up there once again. Evans dropping back. And the ball is batted back. If he started to pass on a slant pattern, it was batted right back into his face by an on-rushing lineman. It's too tall Jones, all 6 feet 9 inches of him, and so it's going to be third down and 14 at the 29-yard line.
And an interesting play call with the way the Dallas Cowboys defense has been coming on. The Bears obviously don't want to risk a turnover here. They're all tied in turnover department, one apiece, the Cowboys and Bears are. You might want to go with some kind of a deep pattern so if it is picked off, you at least have the Cowboys out of field goal range.
Evans back to throw, and it goes up the middle, a long pass to Weissnagel, and Weissnagel can't get it, it's incomplete. Actually, it was up the right sideline as it turned out. Walls was covering him. Incompletion brings on the punting unit, and the hand is for the defense of the Dallas Cowboys.
Actually, Walls had a better shot at that football, Lindsey, than Weissnagel did. He had inside position, stride for stride, 1:24 left to go on the clock, and the Dallas Cowboys will get it back with, again, all 3 timeouts remaining. Evans now, 4 out of 13 passing for just 36 yards.
Walls leads the National Football League in interceptions with 10. We're trying for another there. Parsons in deep punt formation. James Jones standing on his own 30-yard line. Parsons gets the snap, puts it up high trajectory. Jones is at the 30. They've got the return on, and he comes to the left side and can't break through. He was looking for daylight and couldn't, and he stopped at the 38-yard line by Todd Bell. It is a 41-yard punt. So the Cowboys start with 1:13 on the clock remaining in the first half. They have the ball first and 10 at their own 39-yard line.
And Todd Bell, perhaps a touchdown-saving tackle around the ankle of Jones because they had the wall set up on the right side. Jones gave a little stutter step as if he were headed that way, cut it back against the left, and Bell was the last man between him and a lot of artificial astroturf.
Now, with the score tied 3-3, can the Dallas Cowboys move it here? They go under the shotgun. Verano still quarterback and gets a low snap, but he controls it. As it's complete, taken by Hill, and he goes out of bounds. At the 44-yard line of Chicago. Tony Hill. Gary Campbell made the tackle. Second and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. They have the ball now just inside It is inside the 44-yard line. I just spotted at the inbound marker.
Tony Hill did something interesting after the play, Lindsey. He's a 5-year veteran out of Stanford, one of the great offensive weapons of the Cowboys, but he rushed back into the Cowboy huddle and patted the young quarterback, Len Carano, said, all right, keep your poise. That's the way to go. Now let's keep this drive alive.
They stay in the shotgun. Carano gets the snap. Out back, looks right this time, throws right end complete. Still on the other side, fumbles the ball. Chicago has recovered. First and 10, Chicago at their 35. Terry Smith got the football. Hill had it for a moment, but as he was hit, it was away from him and was recovered by Schmidt, who made the hit and made the recovery both.
Again, an indication of just how hard a hitting a football game this has become. Actually, it was pretty hard hitting from the Bears' standpoint most of the game. Fensick separated Drew Hill from the ball earlier. This time, Preston Pearson opened at the 30-yard line, had the ball. Perry Schmidt came in. Fensick came in and separated him. And Schmidt comes up with a loose football. The Bears get a break.
1 minute remaining to be played in the first half. Master is the lone setback, dropping back now. Is Evans over the middle, and watch. Hold on, it's 50. It is 50 by Steve Wilson, and he has the ball at his own 48-yard line. He's down there. Dallas first and 10 on the Wilson interception at the Dallas 48. Watt making the effort to catch the ball, but the interception by Wilson. You got it, I got it, and so Dallas has it.
A hot turkey on this Thanksgiving Day. Watts tried to make a one-handed grab at about the 45-yard line. Wilson comes up with his second interception of the year. Simply took it away from the Chicago wide receiver and then ran away from it. First down, 10 yards to go. Cowboys at their own 48.
52 seconds on the clock, which starts on the snap. Into the shotgun formation now. Carano waits for the ball. Motion across. That's Spring. Carano has the ball. He's dropping back. Look, goes long, and Butch Johnson gathers it in at the 25-yard line. Butch Johnson, he
that both teams had all 3 timeouts remaining. The ball has changed hands on 3 separate occasions since then in the last minute and a half. What composure by the young quarterback out of Nevada, Las Vegas. 5 years, he stands up there 6'3", 198. Gave it the pump fake, cocked his arm, found his favorite receiver, streaking on a corner pattern. Johnson with a great hand. He could start for most teams, Lindsey, in the NFL. But here in Dallas, where they're so deep in wide receivers, he's used as a backup.
Johnson comes out to a slot left now. Carano shifts into shotgun formation, waiting for the direction that Carano's got the ball. Drops back and looks, and throws, and it's incomplete. Got it close to Tony Hill. Johnson was out there sprinting toward the goal line, but the incompletion makes it 2nd and 10 at the 25-yard line.
They're keeping Tony Dorsett, number 33, in the backfield to help the young quarterback to try to relieve some of the pressure, some of the heat that the Bears undoubtedly are throwing at him right now. It might be a good opportunity, since they're teeing off on the quarterback, to give it to Dorsett on either the draw play, Lindsey, or how about floating Dorsett out into one of the flats, clearing out the zone, and let Dorsett do what he does best, and that's run with the football.
All right, it is 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 25-yard line. The Cowboys out of the huddle, coming up to the line now. Carano upstairs, coming to the center, then drops back to take the direct snap in shotgun formation. He's flanked by Springs in the right, Dorsett on the left. Carano back to throw. He looks, goes up the middle, and incomplete. He was trying to get it to Minico Dupree, his big tight end. Drew Pearson there. Drew Pearson now gesticulating to the official down on the 2-yard line. Pearson is the man who is concerned with that one. At the 25-yard line, it's going to be 3rd and 10.
I'm not so sure that Pearson doesn't have a point that time. The play was over. Doug Plank, 7 years from Ohio State, came over and popped Pearson from behind after the ball. It clearly sailed over his head, and the play was whistled dead. The line of scrimmage is the 25-yard line. The Bears 3, the Cowboys 3, 35 seconds to go. 3rd and 10. Interesting play call. Again, maybe not a bad time. Try to get the ball to Dorsett one-on-one out of the flank. Carano now 3 out of 7.
Cowboys stay on the shotgun. Motion across. That's Saldi. Carano has the ball in retreat. Takes a look. Penalty marker sent thrown. He throws to Saldi, incomplete. Now the marker will have to be checked out. The linesman's flag. Order being made to the referee, Chuck Everling. Illegal procedure, he indicates, against Dallas. That's a 5-yard penalty. Pass was incomplete. Everything will tell us about it.
Illegal shift, offense, 2 men moving, refused, 4th down.
They declined the penalty to bring up the 4th down, and Dallas now brings the field goal unit on again. Charlie Waters coming out to hold it for Rafael Septia. This time they are spotted at the hash mark right. The ball is squarely on the 25, so you figure something like a 42, 43 it'll be. Waters will hold. Septia kicking, hash mark right, 43-yard attempt. 30 seconds on the clock, which starts on the snap. Score tied 3-3 in the closing seconds of the first half. Here at Texas Stadium. Waters puts it down, Septia and boosts it. This one carries, and it is no good wide. He carried high enough and long enough, but it was wide to the right. It's no good. Ball goes over to Chicago at the 25-yard line, which is the line of scrimmage. The score is still tied. Chicago Bears 3 and the Dallas Cowboys 3.
And both teams still have all 3 timeouts left. What a wild and woolly 2 minutes of football. It started out on the right side. It stayed there. He missed it by about 1.5 yards wide to the right. Septia not having a particularly good afternoon. Neither are the Dallas Cowboys. They came in 9 up, 3 down, tied with the Eagles in the NFC East. A 2-touchdown favorite over a team that is looking more toward Christmas than they are toward the rest of the NFL season. The Chicago Bears, 3 wins, 9 losses, and we are dead even with 25 seconds to go in half number 1, tied 3-3. The Bears and the Cowboys.
And here comes Vince Evans, the quarterback, leading the Chicago Bears up there. He tries a quarterback carry and moves straight out over right guard to about the 31-yard line. Randy White coming in to make the tackle again at 6 yards by Vince Evans. He just took the quick snap and carried over right guard and picked up 6.
Now you wonder, with 25 seconds left to go, you're tied 3-all, and you've got some good speed there in Ricky Watts. Why not put it up? Why not hope for a long pass completion to get into field goal range or maybe a penalty?
And time has run out.
There's the gun ending the first half with the score. Chicago 3, the Cowboys 3.
Rivetto is teeing up the ball, and in just a moment, we'll be joining Lindsey Nelson and Jim Kelly at Texas.
Now John Rivera will kick it off for Chicago. He feed it up to 35. James Jones is underneath. He is flanked by Newsom and Fellows. Here comes Rivera, and the ball is in the air. Jones throws over in front of Fellows. He takes the ball at the 7. He's at the 10 at the 15. Comes back toward midfield, 20-25. Jones is stopped at the 27-yard line. So the Dallas Cowboys get first possession in this, the second half, 3-3 tie. Cavall came down to make the tackle, and they start at their own 27-yard line.
And they, the Dallas Cowboys, will start with Glenn Carrero at quarterback. Carrero, in his 5th year from Nevada, Las Vegas, 6'3", 198, came into the game, 3 out of 12 in the passing department.
Carrero comes up now, 10-10, running back in an I formation. Dorsett moves to the right of Ron Springs, and now moves back into the I formation to the tailback. Lots of movement in the Dallas offensive set. Tight end Dupree in motion across. Dropping back. Here's the pass, and it's incomplete to Tony Hill on the left side. Penalty marker thrown. Penalty marker thrown. Reuben Henderson was covering, and the marker was thrown there at the 38-yard line.
Just a simple square out that time for Tony Hill. Hill, of course, one of the primary receivers. He is 3rd on Cowboy receivers list.
Pass interference, defense, number 20, first down.
Reuben Henderson called for interference. That's the first and 10 now.
Boy, that's a very close call. That ball was delivered right in there. And if he hit him with the right shoulder. He may have got the right shoulder in there before the ball was delivered to Tony Hill, who has 31 catches, 611 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys.
Tony Dorsett's gone out of the ballgame. James Jones is in there. Here's a quick pitch to Ron Springs. Tries the left side. Puts the shoulder down and drives to the 43-yard line. Harris came in to make the tackle along with Henderson.
Ron Springs, 133 carries, 489 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year. Ball might have popped loose on that last carry, but Springs got it back, not before he picked up good yardage.
Second down, 5 yards to go at the 43. Tony Dorsett's come back into the ballgame. There goes Drew Pearson out to a wide left. Tony Hill out to a wide right. Running back to Wells split. Now they even them up. Carrano is waiting for the snap. Carrano to Tony Dorsett. He passed the left side, and he can't get away. He is thrown by Al Harris. He had him in a big bear hug as he tried to go wide to the left side, and he dropped back at the 41-yard line.
Al Harris is 6'5", 240 in his 3rd year from Arizona State, and he is having some kind of a football game. He is beating his man over there on the right side of that Chicago defensive line. He is going up against the tight end, Billy Joe Dupree, in most formations, and number 61, Jim Cooper, but he has been sliding through there and has been in the backfield almost as soon as Dorsett has been getting a lot of the handoff.
Which Johnson comes into the ball game, and Billy Joe Dupree goes out. It's a 3rd and 7. Carrano into the shotgun. Direct snap now for the Dallas Cowboys. Ron Springs in motion across from the right set. The direct snap is taken by Carrano, and he's hit immediately. The ball is loose, and Dallas retains possession at the 30-yard line. Doug Plank was the man who hit Carrano. The ball popped away, and it was gathered in by Kurt Peterson. Kurt Peterson, the offensive right guard, recovered the fumble, and Dallas gets the football, but it's 4th down. They have to go into punt formation.
Bears that time came with 2 men blitzing, one right up the middle, the other from the right cornerback spot, and Doug Plank, who is really playing some kind of a football game, separated Carrano from the football. Peterson with the recovery. Now word from the Cowboy bench that bruised chest wall by Danny White. He will not be back today.
And so it is Septien back in punt formation, and Raphael Septien, the punter, puts it up there, catch signal, and it's made at the 37-yard line. Jeff Fisher coming across for Chicago. It'll be first and 10 at the 37 with the score tied. Chicago 3, Dallas 3. Let's take time out.
Former St. Louis Cardinals coach Bud Wilkinson, who also set some kind of a record as a college football coach at Oklahoma, said he is not negotiating to buy the NFL Cardinals. Ditto, CBS Vice President Robert Hyland. They were responding to a report in the Sporting News this week naming them as members of a group that has all but completed the purchase of the St. Louis Cardinals football team. But Card Vice President Bing Devine quotes owner Billy Bidwell as saying the club is, quote, not for sale. In the college ranks again, Frank Kersey, fired earlier this week as Kentucky's coach, said he's likely to sue the school for compensation for his lucrative radio and TV contracts. Kersey made his remarks Wednesday evening on his final statewide radio show. Kersey was released after 9 years as the Wildcats coach, even though he still had 3 years left on his contract. The school has agreed to pay Kersey's yearly salary through December of 1984.
A game that is tied at 3-3 here in the third quarter. The Chicago Bears get the ball for the first time in the second half, and they'll start first and 10 at their own 37-yard line. Special assistant Irving Allen sustained a massive heart attack last Wednesday. Longtime member of the coaching staff of the Dallas Cowboys. Worked a great deal in research and game plan and scouting information. He is recovering, and our very best wishes to Irving Allen for a speedy recovery. Here come the Bears now. Vince Evans brings them up. Wide receivers left and right. Split back. Motion. All the way across by Barschnagel. Evans handing it off to Walter Payton. He tries the right side. Walter Payton puts his head down and drives to the 42-yard line. Picked up 5 yards on the play, so Bob Brunig in there on the tackle.
He is amazing. He is just kind of slithering along that line of scrimmage, waiting for the blocks to take place. They didn't. The Cowboys had it clogged up, and somehow Lindsey managed to pop it through there and still pick up 5 yards.
It's been a big afternoon for Sweetness. Second down, 5 yards to go at the 42-yard line. Barschnagel coming far to the left side. Marjoram to the right side, running back to the nine formation. Tuya ahead of Walter Payton. Walter Payton again tries the right side, and again gets daylight the first down at midfield. Walter Payton stopped by Michael Downs, the rookie free safety. It's at the 50-yard line, first and 10 for Chicago. And here comes Mike Cobb, all 243 pounds, other men there at the tight end. Robin Earl is coming off for the Bears. They break the huddle. Vince Evans, the quarterback. He is quarterbacking throughout the afternoon. The running backs are in an I formation. Wide receivers left and right. Motion from the receiver on the right side. Now it's again to Payton. Tries right guard and moves up to the 47-yard line. He got only 3 on that carry, so it'll be second down and 7. Ahead, Too Tall Jones and Harvey Martin converge to make the stop.
You know, we talked at the top of the broadcast as one of the key matchups to watch. Keith Van Horn, the rookie, the offensive tackle for the Bears, 6'7", 265 out of USC, going up against Too Tall Jones, the veteran for the Cowboys, number 72. It would seem the rookie, Keith Van Horn, has been winning it on the line of scrimmage on the running plays, where Too Tall has been winning it on the pass plays.
Exactly. Vince Evans again bends in with the running backs in an I formation. Gets the pitch this time to Payton. He turns the right side, cuts back inside, and gets to the 44-yard line before Charlie Waters brought him down. It'll be 3rd and 4 now.
And again, the elusiveness of Walter Payton. Everson Walls, number 24, on a safety blitz. Had Payton stopped cold back at midfield. Payton just simply stopped, let Walls slide on through, and then Payton pops it again and picked up another couple of yards. 3rd down for the Chicago Bears.
Marcus Anderson is coming there now from Tulane. Lone setback. Evans waiting. Try the draw play, and it is Tuohy on the draw, trying to get to the 6, but he's a little short, I think. I think he's about a foot short. It'll depend entirely on where they spot it, and then they'll take the long look. Then we'll find out. Tries the draw play. Barnes and Downs came in to make the tackle, along with John Dempsey. It's put down squarely on the 40-yard line. Which means that it is inches away. 4th down and inches for the Chicago Bears. Double tight end alignment. Mike Cobb and Robin Earl are in there. Chicago's going to go for it. 9 minutes, 35 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Score tied 3-3. 4th down, inches to go. Chicago at the Dallas 40-yard line. And they pick up the first down. Payton is the tailback in the eye. Contact made before the snap. Heavily marker. Whistle stop play. I think it was Mike Cobb a little too anxious. Somebody a little too anxious.
4-year tight end out of Michigan State. He moved before the snap, so that makes what was a relatively easy play where you need just inches. Now 4th and 5, that'll change the play call, and it'll change the possession.
There's the indication by referee Chuck Heverling. 5-yard penalty will be enforced against the Chicago Bears, and that brings the punting unit onto the field. As it's put down at the 45-yard line, 4th down. Bob Parsons in to punt. James Jones is dropped back for Dallas, standing at his own 10-yard line.
Ball start, 87 offense, 4th down.
Mike Cobb, the tight end. Move before the snap cost them 5. A little over anxious. Martin standing on his own 40-yard line, waiting for the long snap. Jay Hilgenberg makes the snap in deep punt formation for Chicago. Parsons has it, steps up, gets the kickoff, high trajectory, and Jones lets it go. Hits on the 5 and takes a Chicago bounce. There'll be no run back, and it's going to be killed by Chicago in the general area of the 10-yard line, from which point it'll be a 1st and 10 on a 34-yard punt. So with the score tied 3-3, we'll be back in a moment.
In other sports news, the Soviet Union won the women's team title at the World Gymnastics Championships in Moscow on Thursday to complete the first team double since 1958. The Russian women were even more impressive than the men were 24 hours earlier, finishing nearly 5 points ahead of China. East Germany took the bronze ahead of defending champion Romania. The Soviets have now won the women's crown 7 of the last 9 championships. The Soviets also fill the first 6 positions in the individual standings, with Olympic champion Elena Dadivoya heading the list with 78.25 points. Dadivoya carried half the total of points into Saturday's individual all-around finals. Bettina Bungay, showing the stamina of a marathon runner, battled her way into the quarterfinals of the New South Wales Open Tennis Championships in Australia today. She won her match over Ann White in 3 sets.
We're still in the 3-3 struggle here at Texas Stadium on this Thanksgiving afternoon. The Dallas Cowboys have the ball at their own 12-yard line. Just short of the 12, they're in their huddle, and here they come. Durano quarterbacking in place of Danny White, who was injured in the first half of the ball game. Dallas fans getting a little impatient here now, trying to rouse themselves and their football team. Brings in Dorsett to the split back. Here's a hand up to Dorsett. Tries the right side. Comes wide. Gets across the 15. Goes out of bounds to the 19-yard line. Chased all the way into the track by Mike Singletary. Little linebacker, rookie from nearby Baylor in Waco, Texas. It'll be spotted at the 19 or 20.
And what a block, Lindsey. Herbert Scott, the 7-year man from Virginia Union, 6'2", 258, threw on big number 99, Dan Hampton, 6'5", the 3rd-year defensive end from Arkansas, to allow Dorsett to turn the corner and pick up almost 7 yards.
We have a note that the last punt by Rafael Septian was his first career punt for the Cowboys and was good for 33 yards. White is the normal punter, of course, not with an injury. Here's a quick pitch. Taken by Tony Dorsett. He goes to the left side. Picks up the 1st and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys. So the hand is for Dorsett. Sticks are moved, and it's just in advance of the 23-yard line.
And I would suspect is also for the first Dallas first down in a long, long time. The Cowboys were out first down in the first half, 4-7.
Turnstile count here this afternoon, 63,499. Capacity is 65 and change.
The rest are out in the parking lot tailgating and having turkeys.
You're exactly right. 1st and 10 now for the Dallas Cowboys. Score tied 3-3. Springs moves to the side to the left side. Dorsett gets the ball past the left side. Finds an opening and speeds through to the 30-yard line. Otis Wilson brought him down. Again, a 7 makes it 2nd down and 3 yards to go.
And if he doesn't bring him down, Lindsey, he's gone. He had one man to beat, and Wilson made the stop right there. Dupree was one-on-one with number 20 for the Chicago Bears, Reuben Henderson, the cornerback, and Dorsett easily could have gone outside and with his speed would have been gone.
We have here this afternoon 2 men who threat every time they carry the football. Walter Payton and Tony Dorsett, each capable of going all the way at any given time. 2nd down, 3 yards to go. Glenn Carano brings the Cowboys up in an I formation initially. Now they split the back. Dorsett in the left set, Springs in the right set. Carano hands it off to Dorsett. He tries the right side, and he can't go. This time he is dropped by Gary Finsick. The strong safety from Yale University got him back at the 26-yard line.
In his 6th year from Yale, Tom Koza with another Ivy League championship this year for the Eli.
Big year. Lost the 4 there. 3rd down and 7. Rich Johnson comes in. They got 3 wide receivers in the ball game now. Todd Bell has come in the nickel for the Chicago Bears. Carano still has the Dallas Cowboys back there in the huddle. And here they come. Center Tom Rafferty coming over the ball. Carano has only Dorsett as a setback. Now he switches back into the shotgun, flanked by Springs and Dorsett. Direct snap taken by Carano. He looks downfield and guns it, and it is incomplete. of Drew Pearson. Henderson covering defensively, and it's forced on the punting unit on for Dallas.
Not the fault of the young quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Glenn Torano. That ball was thrown on a rope, thrown right on the money. And there's a case of the now monsters of the Midway playing more like their namesake than turkeys. And they came in with some very hard-hitting action back there by Doug Plank, by Gary Fensick. At that time, I think Pearson simply heard some footsteps. He wanted nothing to do with going up for that football.
I think you're right. Raphael Septian found the second punt of his Cowboy career. Jeff Fisher's back standing at his own 37. Got it off under heavy pressure. Fair catch signal, and it's played at the 44-yard line. First and 10 at the 44. The Dallas Cowboys fans think there might have been a rush in the kicker because Bruce Herron was right in there on him. But no call is made on the 35-yard punt. It'll be first and 10 at the 44.
Septian learned quickly. That was his first career punt, but he learned how to fall down.
Herron came in there, and Septian already had the foot down, and simply came backwards. So there is no penalty, and it is first and 10, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Getting back to that tennis story, you talk about somebody showing a lot of power and staying power at that. But Tina Bungie showed real class today, battled her way into the quarterfinals of the New South Wales Open Tennis Championships in Australia. Because rain hampered Wednesday's program, Miss Bungie was forced to place 2 singles matches today. Well, she defeated Ann White 5-7, 7-5, 7-5 in the morning, then upset Pam Schreiber 6-4, 4-6, 7-6 in the afternoon. In addition to that, she played another 18 games in a losing doubles match. Bungie was joined in the quarters by Chris Everett-Lloyd, 16-year-old Andrea Jaeger, Martina Navratilova, and Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley. Japan's top money earner shot a 5 under par 67 today for the first round lead in the $270,000 golf tournament in southern Japan. Isao Aoki is the pace setter. Lee Trevino 1 stroke off the pace. Keith Fergus 3 strokes back.
The Chicago Bears came in with a record of 3-9 victories over Tampa Bay, 28-17, over the Chargers in overtime, 20-17, and over the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime, 16-13. The only 3 Chicago victories all year.
Now Chicago first and 10 at their own 44. Vince Evans has them up there in an I formation. Here's a quick pitch ball to pace at the right side, looking for a target. Now he throws a halfback pass downfield, and it's going to be way short of his intended receiver, speeding down the right side on Ken Marjoram. And Everson Walls was side to side. The margin is way short. The halfback pass tried by Walter Payton.
Well, let's check the passing statistics. Payton on the year, Payton and Parsons are 1 out of 1. So Payton's passing stats took a big drop.
Didn't they, though? It is second down and 10 yards to go now. Score tied, 3-3. Been a battle between the defenses of the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. Brooks Williams is in there now, tight end for the Chicago Bears. Vince Evans has the ball. Stops back. And he's hit from behind.
Turnover. Too tall Jones was there for the
running and passing on offense and a gang-tackling defense? Well, that's what Auburn is going to find out this Saturday when it faces powerful Alabama in Birmingham. Auburn is an 11-point underdog, but has been trying to psych Bama all this week. Taking note of the fact that Coach Paul Bear Bryant of Alabama is after his 315th career victory, which would be an all-time record, Auburn has sent out a lot of press releases this week saying this is Bryant's first chance at breaking the record. Well, there has been an ominous silence from the Alabama campus about that record. Well, that ought to be quite a shootout on Saturday down at Legion Field in Birmingham. And it's the first part of a college doubleheader on AFRTS. Penn State and Pittsburgh in the first game. And then we'll have Alabama at Auburn, which is the host team this year at Birmingham in that Southeast Conference showdown. Alabama, of course, already securing a spot in the Cotton Bowl opposite Texas on New Year's Day. Auburn, always potentially an upset team.
We could be here a while. 3-all. Vince Evans, 4 out of 15 passing, 36 yards, 2 interceptions. Brings the Bears out.
First and 10 at the 20-yard line for Evans and the Chicago Bears with running backs in an I formation. Evans with a quick pitch. Walter Payton tries the left side. Sweetness across the 20, 25, and out of bounds. Penalty marker is thrown. Penalty marker is thrown. And we'll get this one from Chuck Everling in a moment as the penalty is reported to him just now. Michael Downs is the man who ran Payton out of bounds. Face mask. That's what I suspected. It'll be tacked on to the end of the run, which was for 5 yards, out to the 25. And this is a 5-yard face mask, and Chuck Everling, the referee, will tell us about it.
On a tackle, face mask, 5 yards, number 26, defense, first down.
That's Michael Downs, rookie out of Rice, and as we said in the first half, by the time this football game is over, the rookie, number 26 out of Rice, will get to know Walter Payton very well, and that's why he got to know him better than he wanted to, as he had to grab the face mask long before he threw Payton out of bounds.
First and 10 Bears at their own 30-yard line. Vince Evans again up there, takes the snap, handing it off, taken by Matt Stewie, and he picks up 3 to the 33-yard line. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Jim Kelly at Texas Stadium. In case you're keeping a statistical summary of this ball game, the play on which Ed Jones got the ball that popped up into the air after Harvey Martin had made the tackle was officially ruled a fumble recovery. Second down, 7 yards to go for the Chicago Bears. Running backs in an I formation once again. Here's a quick pitch. It's Payton trying the left side. Gets to the 35-yard line. This time it's Randy White there for the tackle after a gain of 2. 3rd and 5 for Chicago.
The man that made that play, number 32 for the Dallas Cowboys, turning it inside, Dennis Thurman, the 4-year man from USC. He went one-on-one with Matt Stewie, and he held his position, and that forced Payton to turn it inside. That's where the waiting arms of number 54, Randy White, were. So now it's a 3rd down play call. Evans, 4 out of 15, remember, in passing, looks at 3rd and long.
Rich Williams has come in there offensively now for Chicago. Dallas is into the nickel. Lone set back is Vince Evans. Waits for the snap. Drops back, takes a look. And throws, and is complete to Payton as it's just across the 40-yard line. He was hit hard by Dickerson. Now they'll take a long look at the sticks to see about the possible first down. The ball's been spotted across the 40. It is very, very close. They're taking a long look, and perhaps they'll have to bring out the sticks. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to measure for the possible first down.
If he didn't get it, it's less than the length of the football.
Right. And it is going to be a 1st and 10. And there it is. Cowboys report Danny White has bruised ribs. X-rays show no evidence of fractures.
Danny White is in civilian clothes now over on the sideline. He was not even out there at the start of the second half. So they have taped him up and maybe put an ice pack on the ribs, and he is out there now and will not return.
Bears keep their drive alive. 1st and 10 across the 40-yard line. Running back to an I formation for Vince Evans. Now, play action and incomplete. It is intended for Brian Boschnagel. He was running a slant pattern to the middle, and Everson Wall Walls was the man with whom he collided, and was it ever a collision?
Everson Walls, the rookie out of Grambling, who leads the NFL in interceptions with 10, really put a hit on Brian Baschnagel. A post pattern down about 10 yards, cutting in, slanting over across the middle. The ball was thrown right on the money on a string by Vince Evans. No one has ever questioned his arm. It's been his direction where he has thrown the ball. He's now 4 out of 16, 2 interceptions.
Second and 10. Jerome and Baschnagel are the wide receivers. Running back to split for Vince Evans. Handing it off to Walter Payton. He tries the right side. Stutter step and gets up to the 50-yard line. A little bit short of the first, I think. He tried to sort of edge it out there for it. It's going to be spotted again just across. It was Waters and Downs on the tackle. And we're going to have here now a third down, or I think inches to go.
And again, Walter Payton turned a play that could have been stopped back at the line of scrimmage into a huge gain. They bring the sticks out. Walter Payton on the afternoon, Lindsey, 24 carries, 136 yards.
They measure now as they extend the chain to see if he picked it up. It is very close, inches away. It'll be third down and inches to go. Double tight on the line with Robin Earl and Mike Cobb. Stays in there for Chicago.
Payton keeps this pace up, Lindsey. He'll go over 1,000 yards for the season this afternoon. He came in with 841 yards, so he needs just 159. And he's got 136 of that, so one would certainly suspect he'll go over 1,000 yards again.
Exactly, and it's been a great afternoon for Walter Payton here this afternoon. He came in having had only 2 games this year in which he had gone over 100 yards. Is running with 4 minutes, 4 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Chicago trying to pick up the first down on the third and inches. And a tight wing right, and the wing back in motion across to the left side. And now it's Stewart. He's got the first down and almost broke it. He was pulled down by safety Charlie Waters at the 35-yard line. The defense was pulled in there tight to try to stop the third and inches, and Stewart almost broke it.
That's a good play call by the Chicago coaching staff right there. Obviously, everybody is keying on number 34, Walter Payton. Dewey has been used as the decoy. The first man through, that time Evans just flipped him the ball, and he slipped right by all of the Dallas defenders, and he was into the open field before Charlie Waters came, made a touchdown-saving tackle.
First and 10 Chicago at the Dallas 35, score tied 3-3 in the third quarter. Walter Payton tries the right side. It's a stone wall, tries the second time. John Dutton is the man who brought him down. It's at the 32-yard line, again a 3.
Remember how this drive started. The last time the Bears had the football, Harvey Martin forced Vince Evans into a mistake. The ball batted loose. Tall Jones picked it up. Turnover against the Bears. Dallas started at the Chicago 35. Then on the next play, Ron Springs threw an errant halfback option pass that Tony Hill batted around for a while, and finally Reuben Henderson came down with it on his field for the Bears. They started from their own 20. They've used up almost 6.5, 7 minutes on this drive.
Second down, 7 yards to go. Ball outside the 31-yard line. And this is Stewart trying the left side. He gets down to the 25, just short of the 25, and just short of the first down. Tall Jones and Charlie Waters made the stop. It'll be third down, a yard to go. At the 34, at the 26.
This is obviously a key call now for the Chicago coaches. They want to pick up the first down, keep this drive alive. They would like the touchdown. They really don't want to settle for the field goal, though I'm sure they would be happy to put 3 points up on the board. And it's got to be a cause for concern for Tom Landry and the Cowboys, too, Lindsey, because you've got Danny White out for the rest of the game. You've got your backup quarterback in, and Dallas on offense has generated no scoring threat since that field goal early in the first quarter.
Baschnagel in motion across. And it is against Dewey, and he's got the first and 10. That's Dewey tried the left side. Didn't get long or yardage, but he got enough. Bob Bruning, middle linebacker, made the tackle. So it's going to be first down, 10 yards to go for the Chicago Bears at the Dallas 24-yard line.
And again, so important they keep that Chicago drive alive. The Bears would love to put a touchdown up on the board. And one would have to suspect, back in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Eagles listening and watching would like to see a Chicago touchdown too, because the Cowboys, Eagles 9-3, tied for first in the NFC Central.
First down play coming for Chicago. Motion all the way across by Baschnagel. Payton takes the ball, tries right tackle. Gets about a yard, and that is all as Bob Bruning cuts him down over there. They'll spot this one at the 22-yard line. Call it again at 2. Make it second down and 8 yards to go. We have now exactly 1 minute remaining to be played in the third quarter.
And And to this point, the Cowboys with 6 first downs, the Bears with 10, the Cowboys with 57 yards on the ground, Chicago 184. Mostly, obviously, Walter Payton yards passing. Cowboys 105, Chicago 23. But the Bears have outgained Dallas 207 yards to 162.
Chicago up there in an I formation. Quick pitch to Walter Payton, and he tries the right side. Bounces off, gets inside the 15, and Walter Payton is out of bounds near the 14-yard line. Michael Downs forced him out of bounds. Now, where exactly will they spot it? Because the sticks are right there. I think it's going to be a tad short.
Saying about 1.5 foot, Batschnagel is. One of the Bears injured on the play. That's number 87, Mike Cobb, the tight end for Michigan State. Payton that time, Lindsey, simply ran away from Mike Hegman, 58, D.D. Lewis, 50, back at the 20-yard line. They had him contained. He gave him a hip and took it away, and he was off.
They're going to take the chain all the way across and measure before they spot the ball. They've got it along the sideline on the far side. They'll use the chain then. If it's not a first down, I don't think it is, to spot the ball at the inbound marker. Extend the chain. It's a little short. So now they'll use that chain to spot the ball at the inbound marker. Looks to be about the length of the football. And it'll be a third down coming for Chicago, and it's at the 14-yard line. Ball is properly spotted, inbound marker on the right side. 31 seconds remaining to be played in the third quarter with the score tied 3-3. Chicago driving, having started off the touchback from the 20-yard line. With the running back, Payton the right set, Stewie in the left set. They're in a wing left overall. Batschnagel, the wing back in motion across. Stewie's got the first and 10 inside the 10-yard line. He's down to the 7-yard line. Mike Hegman came in to make the tackle. First and goal, Chicago at the Dallas 7-yard line.
What an impressive drive by the Chicago Bears. It began after the turnover all the way back down at their own 20-yard line. They have done it almost entirely on the ground with some very key calls on third down. Walter Payton now, 28 carries, 154 yards, and the next time Payton carries the ball, he will break the most carries against the Dallas Cowboys ever. There's the gun. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Cowboys 3, Chicago 3.
Well, in case you missed the score earlier, Detroit was in front at halftime 17-7 and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in impressive style to run their record to a perfect 6-0 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan earlier this Thanksgiving Day. The final score was Detroit 27, Kansas City 10. In college football, Texas was leading Texas A&M late in the ballgame, 21-13. An earlier game on a very light college card this Thanksgiving Day. Richmond beat Pennsylvania by a score of 18-12. Wayne Gretzky of the Edmonton Oilers appears to be well on his way to breaking his own single-season scoring record of 164 points set last season in the National Hockey League. Gretzky scored 4 more goals and assisted on 1 more Wednesday night to lead the Oilers to an 11-4 romp of Los Angeles. In just 24 games, the 21-year-old phenom has now popped in 28 goals and 25 assists. At this time a season ago, he had just 12 goals and still came on to win the scoring title. So he's well ahead of his record-setting pace of a year ago. The NHL Washington Capitals are on a tear. After Wednesday night's 4-4 tie with Minnesota, the cellar-dwelling Caps are now unbeaten in their last 6 games after losing 13 straight. The hero Wednesday night, Darren Veach, says the new coach, Brian Murray, is responsible for the team's turnaround with a lot of confidence.
1 quarter to go. Score tied 3-3 here at Texas City.
That's in regulation. We could go into overtime the way this one's going on. We've had no Dallas scoring at all since 4:04 left to go in the first quarter. Septiana, 41-yard field goal, but the Cowboys out in front 3-0. 13:05 to go in the first half. A 44-yard field goal by John Rivetto, and that's where we are right now. Almost 40 minutes of football later.
Ball is spotted at the 7-yard line. It is first down and goal to go as we start the fourth quarter. Lindsey Nelson and Jim Kelly here at Texas Stadium. Chicago Bears break the huddle now. Running back. That's Troy and Walter Payton. And Beth Evans is the quarterback. Batschnagel in motion from the right side all the way across. Evans to Payton. He tries the right side. Gets 1 yard. Is backed up at the 6-yard line. Bob Rooney clears the defensive charge to the Dallas Cowboys. Second and goal outside the 5.
Chicago testing the character of the Cowboys defense right now on first and goal from inside the 10-yard line. Cowboys defense knows the offense has had trouble all afternoon. It's been sputtering and will sputter even more with Danny White out of there. You don't want to fall behind by a touchdown. You're in the fourth quarter, and you have to go back 2 years ago, Thanksgiving, to find the last time the Dallas Cowboys team has lost here at Texas Stadium. That was to Houston, 30-24.
Mike Cobb in the tight end. Robin Earl is out. Motion from the left side all the way across by Barschnagel. Hayden tries the left side. He wants to hit for the corner. Cuts back. Drives. And gets to the 1-yard line. He stops at the 1. Walter Payton. Started to go. He tried to run for the flag. Cut back. Got to the 1-yard line. And it was Bob Bruning again who cut him off at the pass along with Charlie Waters. Third down and goal to go Chicago at the Dallas 1.
Pretty good speed that time by Charlie Waters, number 41. I thought from our vantage point, Lindsey, when Tate made his cut at the 10-yard line and turned on the afterburners, he was gone. He made his cutback. Bruning shut it down. Waters came up for the second hit, and now another key third down call. Now the Bears, it's so important, want to talk it over.
They're calling a timeout, Chicago Bears. Robin Earl has just come back into the ball game, but down there on the 1-yard line, the Chicago Bears want to discuss this. So with the score tied, Dallas 3, Chicago 3, let's take timeout.
Well, you know, fans come in all sizes and shapes, not to mention occupations. Among those cheering on England's soccer team and its push toward next year's World Cup are the following: an undertaker, a land speculator, a pub owner, a travel agent, an insurance agent, and a moving van owner. What makes them news is that they all played for the English team which won the World Soccer Cup in 1966. That was the last time Great Britain won it. The undertaker is Ray Wilson, who was the left fullback for that team. The land speculator is George Cohen, a defensive star. The pub owner is Bobby Moore, who captained the team. The travel agent is Bobby Charlton, who played a superb defensive game for England back in '66. And the moving van owner is Roger Hunt, who was a great passer in his day. The insurance agent is Jeffrey Hurst, who scored 3 goals in the final game that gave Britain its last World Cup soccer title back in 1966. And my, how the years have gone by.
Vince Evans of the Chicago Bears has been over for a strategy conference. He now has returned to the huddle. Dallas Cowboys defensive unit, some of them have been over on the sidelines for a conference there. It'll be third down, goal to go for Chicago outside the Dallas 1-yard line. 13 minutes, 43 seconds left to play in this holiday football game, and the score tied. Dallas 3, Chicago 3. Chuck Everling, the referee, marks the ball ready for play and starts the count. Chicago still in the huddle. Dallas fans trying to exhaust their defensive unit. Here comes the Chicago Bears. Matt Stewart is in the left set. Walter Payton's in the right set. Vince Evans is the quarterback. Evans gets the handoff. Now spreads out to the right side. He's going to take it in. Touchdown! Vince Evans that picks up the ball. Spin it out and hit it for the flag on the right side. He's in for the touchdown. No handoff at all. As Evans took the snap, spin it out to the right side and hit it for the flag and got in easily.
That's a great call by the Chicago coaches in the booth next to us. Direction, everybody going to the left side except Vince Evans. Matt Suey threw the key block on Charlie Waters, and Evans just scampered in. Nobody touched him. Bears go out in front by 6 points.
John Rivetto will attempt the conversion. He's 10 for 10 in the extra point department. Bob Avellini will hold for him. Avellini is waiting for the snap. Puts it down. The ball is blocked. It's blocked. The conversion is no good. It is no good on the block conversion, and it was Ed Too-Tall Jones. Ed Too-Tall Jones blocked the conversion attempt by Rivetto, and so the Bears do not get the extra point. They get just the 6. Jones was way up into the air. John Dutton was side by side with him. And so the conversion attempt was blocked, and the Bears are leading it by a score of 9-3. Chicago Bears are over in the huddle now, preparatory to aligning themselves to kick off. Already the Dallas Cowboys have deployed. Jones is deep, Fellows is on one side, and Newsom is on the other, ready to receive the kickoff. We're in the fourth quarter. Could have been a very important block of a conversion attempt that just took place as Ed Too-Tall Jones, who's having perhaps the best year of his career. It was an 80-yard drive, 15 plays. It took 9 minutes, 58 seconds, Evans took it in, and the point after touchdown, no good. Now that huddle for the Bears has moved to the 30-yard line.
The obvious importance on the missed extra point, the Cowboys could win with a touchdown and a conversion by Septien, or, if it's been the case, the Cowboys were unable to punch it in, 2 Septien field goals could put us in an overtime situation.
So we're in one of those things as Roberto is seated up on the 35-yard line and Jones waits on the deep at the 1-yard line. We're waiting for Heberling's whistle. There it is. Here comes Roberto. Sails a knuckleball downfield. Jones watches the hop, and it goes into the end zone. Newsom lets it roll, and it's going to go across the sideline. That'll make it a touchback. It'll be put in play first and 10 at the 20-yard line.
Now, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you don't have your number 1 quarterback in there. Glenn Carano is in, a 5-year man out of Toronto, Las Vegas. It's been a rough afternoon. But to be fair, the youngster has thrown the ball extremely well. And he's finished receivers that have been dropping into the Bears that have been batting it away. 13:31 to go.
First and 10 now. Dallas at the 20-yard line. Dallas stands again. Trying to get us something started here, hopefully. Carano brings him up. Even up the running back. Carano gets the snap. Fakes it and throws out the run. Springs at the 25 to the 31. Fakes 35-40 run. Springs across the 45-yard line. Finally pulled out by Otis Wilson and Terry Smith. Play action. And good play action by Carano. And then he threw the pass out to the right flat to Springs. It is up there at the 47-yard line. However, there's a penalty marker and a penalty against the Dallas Cowboys that will nullify the big gainer that would have put the ball at the 47. Heberling says, bring it back. Bring it all back.
The linesman threw the flag before the snap, or right at the snap, back at the 20-yard line, offsides against the Cowboys to negate that huge gain. Here's Chuck Heberling, the referee.
Offside, offense, number 80, first down.
That's Tony Hill, one of the wide receivers who jumped a little bit too soon. It was his job on the play simply to go down and clear out the zone. And a very perturbed and confused Tom Landry over the Cowboys sideline right now has just separated himself from his clipboard.
First and 15 at the 15. Running back to Reven left for Carano. This time he hands it off, and it's taken by Dorsett. He tries the left side. Tony Dorsett moves it out to the 20-yard line for 5 before Singletary brings him down. Second down and 10 yards to go.
Tony Dorsett now, 16 carries, 55 yards. Contrast that with Walter Payton, who's up with a total of 159 yards on 30 carries. Dorsett gained 1,000 yards his first year in the NFL, 1325 the second, 1107 his third, his fourth year, 1,185 yards. His fifth year, currently in progress.
Tony Dorsett has gone ahead of George Rogers as the leading rusher now. Second down, 10 yards to go. Starting back at Carano. Lots of time. A long pass to Hill. The 30-yard pass. It's tackled at the 25-yard line by Doug Frank. A touchdown-saving tackle by Doug Frank. Tony Hill, first and 10 Dallas at the Chicago 25. 55-yard pickup.
And if anybody doubted that this 5-year man from Nevada, Las Vegas had an arm, consider the fact that that ball traveled 50 yards in the air. That was a great throw by Carano, right on the money. Hill, with a good concentration, looked it right in, and Plank came up and tackled him around the ankles. Otherwise, we had a tie football game. Tony Hill, 4 catches this afternoon for 117 yards.
Oh, the Dallas Cowboys first and 10 at the Chicago 25. Ron Springs in the right set. Tony Dorsett in the left set for Glenn Carano. Carano's got the ball. Drops back, looks downfield. And now in traffic, he runs out to the right side. He gets to the 20 and hits the deck. Carano in a lot of traffic spin out, found open territory and got to the 20-yard line where he hit the deck. And the Chicago man is down. An injury timeout for Chicago. More attention to an injury. And it is Reuben Henderson who is down.
Carano now 4 out of 11 in the passing department, 1 interception. But Lindsey, I've got a question for you. Danny White is out of the football game and will not return. If you're Tom Landry and the Dallas coaches, what are you thinking about when you see your backup quarterback scrambling out of the pocket right there? Because if Carano goes down, it's Drew Pearson, a wide receiver, who comes in to play quarterback. 11:28 left to go in the fourth quarter. And the Chicago Bears clinging to a 6-point lead. 9-3. We'll be back in a moment.
Well, the final score is in from College Station, Texas. Quarterback Robert Brewer scored 1 TD and passed for another Thanksgiving Day to carry number 6 Texas to a 21-13 win over Texas A&M in the regular season finale for both schools. The Longhorns, who will host Alabama in the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Day, finished the year at 9-1-1. Their lone loss, that lopsided defeat at the hands of Arkansas. The Aggies finished at 6-5, and they're scheduled to face Oklahoma State in the Independence Bowl on December 12th. Texas blew apart the game for all its points in the second quarter after spotting the Aggies 2 David Hardy field goals of 35 and 27 yards early in the first quarter. Brewer marched Texas 80 yards on 12 plays and capped the drive with a 1-yard plunge. 7 minutes later, Johnny Walker, who rushed for 178 yards on the afternoon, ran 60 yards for a score. The third TD came on a 38-yard pass from Brewer to Herky Walls to wrap it up.
The injured Chicago man was Al Harris. He has come out of the ball game, 2nd and 5 for Dallas. Here's the handoff. It's taken by Dorsett. He shoots into the 10-yard line. First down and goal to go inside the 10. Jerry Finsick and Doug Black made the hit. First and goal. It's spotted at the 9-yard line. Dallas has the Chicago now. Tony Dorsett speeding through. Drew Pearson gets back into the ball game. Here comes Doug Cosby back into the ball game. The Cowboys are driving.
And for the first time in the football game, the left side of that Cowboy offensive line, Herbert, Scott, Pat Donovan, opening up some holes. It's been all on the right side when the Cowboys have been able to gain anything on the ground.
Dallas in an I formation for quarterback Glenn Carano. Here goes Dorsett to a left set now. Evened up with Ron Spring. And on a draw play. It's taken by Dorsett, and he gets to the 7-yard line. Jim Osborne made the tackle. 2nd down and goal to go at the 7 for Dallas.
This is what I didn't understand the last time the Cowboys had the ball deep in their territory, is why they didn't use Dorsett. Carano had just come in, replacing the injured Danny White, and Tom Landry calls the plays, and sends them in from the sideline. Insisted on using the down-and-out pattern or the post pattern to his wide receivers instead of using Tony Dorsett at all. Now it's inside the 7.
Ron Springs has gone out of the ball game. Jay Salty in the double tight end. One lone set back at Dorsett. Pearson in motion. Dropping back at Carano. Throws, and it is complete at the 5-yard line. Complete at the 5-yard line. Cabral came in to make the tackle. Harry Schmidt also on the tackle. Drew Pearson coming back slowly to the huddle now. Pull that one in at the 5-yard line. Ron Springs comes back into the ball game. 3rd down and goal to go at the 5. Big 3rd down play, and the crowd is rising to that occasion. Springs and Dorsett are evened up. Carano's the quarterback. Now contact made before the snap. Todd Bell got an early start. Was he pulled off? He just kept coming, and now Heberling's going to indicate.
The blitz on. That's why Todd Bell was coming. And his key on that particular play was number 20, Ron Springs, who was in motion. When Springs went in motion, Bell kept coming across the line of scrimmage.
3rd down play. Triple tight end. Motion across. The pass play into the corner of the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Doug Cosby. Henderson covering defensively. Lying down in the left corner. Was covering defensively, and Glenn Carano put it up. 4th down coming down.
The ball was perfectly quickly thrown by Carano. Credit Henderson, number 20, has made some big plays. The rookie from San Diego State with a fine defensive play. Number 84, Doug Crosby for the Dallas Cowboys.
Carano has called timeout. The Dallas Cowboys have called the timeout. Carano is going to the sideline with a score tied. Chicago 3, Dallas 3. With the Bears 9, the Cowboys 3. Let's take timeout.
Well, a big ball game for the Dallas Cowboys and a big decision. Do they go for 3 points or go for the touchdown? The touchdown and the conversion would give them the lead. If they miss on a touchdown attempt, the ball goes over to Chicago. If they settle for a field goal, they're still trailing 9-6, but there's still plenty of time left in the ball game. So my bet, knowing Tom Landry's track record over the years, is probably go for the field goal, and we'll see what happens after. But he may have a different idea on the sidelines now. He is discussing with Carano. It'll be an interesting call, but the Chicago Bears, whether they surrender a field goal, a touchdown, or not, have played a great game today. They are not the 3-9 Chicago Bears that everybody has seen most of the season. They came to play today and have been fired up since the opening kickoff. Earlier today, Detroit, behind Eric Hippel's 2 touchdown passes, celebrated Thanksgiving Day with an impressive 27-10 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs at the Silverdome in Pontiac, where they are now 6-0.
Fourth down and goal to go. Dallas at the Chicago 2.5-yard line. Chicago leading by 6 points, and Carano is back in the huddle now.
Second guessers will have a field goal with this. Tom Landry disdaining the field goal, a chip shot for Rafael Septien to pull to within a field goal. If they take the 3 points now, almost a sure shot, Chicago would have a 9-6 lead, and the Cowboys would have still 9 minutes in the fourth quarter to get the tying field goal or a go-ahead touchdown. But right now, they are going for it on 4th and 2.5, which means if they miss, the Bears will take over 1st and 10, and the Cowboy drive will come up empty.
So do the Cowboys get 6? Do they get 7? Do they get nothing? They move to a sudden springs over. Carano is the quarterback. Play action. Carano rolling right and look at the ball. It's batted and incomplete. The ball goes over. It was almost intercepted. Almost. Mike Hartenstein batted the ball and almost got it coming down. Fourth down. The ball goes over. And as has been pointed out, they'll second guess that one for a long, long time.
Tom Landry could not believe it when he saw the ball get batted away by Mark Hartenstein in his 7th year out of Penn State. Mike 6'3", 243, got his big arms up in the face of Carano. Ron Spring had gone through. He was wide open in the end zone, coming out of the backfield, and the Cowboys could get the ball to him. Big break for the Bears. They keep their 6-point lead.
But they keep the ball just outside the 2-yard line. Payton and Sawyer, the setback for Evans. Here's Payton. He started his way out to the 4-yard line. In too tall Jones wrestles into the turf there. 2nd and 8 at the 4. Chicago Bears still in danger territory here. And the Dallas Cowboys trying to keep the pressure on. Thornton is stopping clock for a moment. Spots the ball out there on the 4-yard line. Now he marks the ball ready for play.
By the way, Walter Payton, who came into this game with 841 yards, has now carried 31 times, 161 yards, going over the 1,000-yard mark for his 6th consecutive year. That's the new NFC record.
Chicago Bears up there with the running backs evened up. Again, it's Payton. This time he moves it out to the 7-yard line. Picks up 3. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Randy White made the stop for the Dallas defense.
Bears, obviously, Lindsey, are not going to risk putting it up down here. They'll keep it on the ground, keep that clock winding down. Vince Evans in the passing department now is 5 out of 16. 5 out of 16 for 40 yards with 2 interceptions. So the Bears will not put it up. They'll keep it on the ground, try to get Parsons some punting room, and rely on their defense.
Dallas Cowboys looking to come out of all of this with pretty good field position, and the pressure will be on the Chicago defense once again. Here's Payton across the right side. Struggles out there near the 10-yard line. He stopped at the 10. That'll bring up the 4th down. And the punting unit will come out. Michael Downs made the tackle along with John Dutton. So Parsons comes out now to punt the ball.
That time, Michael Downs, who we said would get to know Walter Payton very well in the course of the afternoon, did not take the fake. He held his ground, the rookie out of Rice. He's 6'3", 198, and a good tackle, stopping Payton about 2.5 yards shy of 1st down yardage.
Parsons is about 5 yards deep in his own end zone, and James Jones is out there at the 49-yard line of the Chicago Bears to receive the punt.
The
They're waiting for the snap. Carson gets it, steps up. Cowboys have the return on good punt. Now James Jones back to his own 45. He tries the right side. Looking for the wall. He is at 50, 45, 40, and out of bounds at the 37-yard line. He got around a portion of the wall on the left side. Then to his right, Cabral running out. So now the Dallas Cowboys start first and 10 at the Chicago 37 with the score. The Bears 9, the Cowboys 3. Let's take timeout.
Unseeded American Tom Gullickson beat six-seeded Ralph Gehring of West Germany in straight sets. In women's play in Johannesburg, all 8 top seeds have advanced. Number 2 seed Virginia Wade defeated South African Annalise Muller. Third-seeded Kathy Horvath upended the local favorite, Lorna Zeitzman. Well, the Chicago Bears cling to a 9-3 lead, but again, the Dallas Cowboys, who have been threatening to score, but not quite getting there, except for a field goal by Raphael Septien early in the ballgame, have 6 minutes and 50 seconds to do something about that 6-point deficit.
The clock says we have 6 minutes, 50 seconds left to play in this game. The Chicago Bears are leading the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 9-3 punt. The Dallas Cowboys have the ball first and 10 at the Chicago 37-yard line. Springs is going off the field. They're bringing another tight end on, Jay Salty. Toronto quarterback in the team in the absence of Danny White, who was injured the first half. Boy sets the lone setback for Toronto. Back off a wing right. Motion across for the wing back. That's Salty. Dropping back is Toronto. He steps up, and he's going to run the ball. He's headed to the sideline across the 30, goes out of bounds at the 26. He was looking for the 6. He went out of bounds at the 26, and that'll be a first down. Henderson ran him out. Reuben Henderson converging. So unable to find the receiver. Glenn Toronto, who is playing like a veteran out here this afternoon, ran for the first down.
He really is, Lindsey. He got outside the containment. Alan Page taken out of it by Herbert Scott. Carano looked at the corner. He also saw the Bears coming at him. Henderson and also Mike Singletary, number 50, was streaking across there, the rookie out of Baylor. Singletary wanted a shot at him, but Carano got out of bounds. Carano now 3 carries, 14 yards, with the last one a key Cowboy first down.
Ron Springs on the right side, Dorsett now leading the play and waiting to set up. Here's a throwback to Springs on the left side of Springs. He's at the 25, the 20, the 15, the 10-yard line. They started with the quarterback, Toronto, sweeping right. Dorsett leading out there. He stopped and threw back across the field. Where they had set up a screen left to Springs, he advanced it down to the 10-yard line. Gary Finsick made the stop.
Tom Landry pulling out all the stops over on the Dallas sideline right now. That play exactly as Lindsey called it. I want to tell you, Carano had a convoy out there and he wanted to run the football. Instead, the play was set up to come back on a counter over the left side. The halfback Slade leading the blocking out there for Dallas. Number 61, Jim Cooper, the tackle. 6'5", 263, a 5-year man out of Temple.
First and 10 just outside the 10. Dorsett on the right side. Drives into the 6-yard line. He's piled up at the 6. Tony Dorsett carrying. Alan Page came in to make the tackle. Second down and 6 yards to go with the ball at the 6-yard line. Dallas Cowboys are trailing by 6 points. The clock is running with 5 minutes, 39 seconds left to play in this game. Goes off the field, and coming in is Doug Cosby. Bell comes in defensively, so does Bruce Heron for the Chicago Bears. Now here comes the Dallas Cowboys. They send Drew Pearson to the right side. Double him with Tony Hill. Running back to even up. Springs to the right side. Here's the pitch to Springs. He tries the left side. He's at the 5-yard line, and he gets in for a touchdown. Touchdown, Ron Springs. Bruce Heron hit him right at the flag. The Chicago Bears thought maybe they had cut him off, but he got in at the flag, and Ron Springs has scored. The score is tied, and Dallas has a conversion attempt coming. The man that led the blocking, number 33, Tony Dorsett, wide around the left side, held his block at about the 6-yard line, and didn't allow the defender to slide off the block at all, just kept driving his man, driving him backwards, and then allowed Springs to turn it outside. The man Dorsett was one-on-one with Bruce Heron, the 4-year man from New Mexico. Dorsett held his block. Result, Dallas touchdown. Septien has not missed the conversion this year. He's 21 for 31. Charlie Waters holding. For Raphael Septien, Charlie Waters puts it down. Septien boosts it up. It's good. And the Dallas Cowboys go ahead by a score of 10-9. We'll be back in a moment.
Lindsey Nelson excited, or is Lindsey Nelson excited? Game coming your way through the facilities of the CBS Radio Network, and we'd like to remind you that looking ahead at a very busy holiday weekend, our next presentation on the Parade of Sports will be the final regular season game between Notre Dame and Miami of Florida from the Orange Bowl. That'll be on Friday, the 27th of November, the day after this Thanksgiving Day. And we'll have that game for you via the Mutual Radio Network live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Penn State will tangle with number 1 Pittsburgh on Saturday, and you'll hear that game on the Parade of Sports from Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hoping to finish the season unbeaten, untied, and go into the Sugar Bowl opposite Georgia as the number 1 team in the country. Of course, Clemson will be watching that game with a lot of interest on Saturday. Clemson is currently ranked 2nd, also unbeaten, untied. They have already finished their season. If Pittsburgh should falter against the Nittany Lions, Clemson very likely would be number 1.
The Dallas Cowboys leading in the ballgame now with 5 minutes, 9 seconds remaining to be played. Will be kicking it off. Raphael Septian is he's up to the 35-yard line. Emory Moorhead is sunny deep. Jeff Fisher on one side, Marcus Anderson on the other to receive it for the Chicago Bears. Still a lot of time, but lots of things to happen here at Texas Stadium. We're waiting for the referee's whistle. It will send Raphael Septian forward to kick this football. And it's been a battle between the Bears and the Cowboys here this afternoon. Chuck Everling with the whistle, and here comes Raphael Septian. Puts it up into the air. Deep in the end zone, will not run it back. Touchback. It'll be put in play first and 10 at the 20-yard line. The Chicago Bears start 80 yards away. See what they can do about regaining the lead over the Dallas Cowboys here at Texas Stadium, where the Cowboys have not lost a game since Thanksgiving Day of 1979 when they lost to Houston. Jim Kelly and I were here for that afternoon, as a matter of fact.
That was 30-24, and you were still having Mexican food.
Exactly.
So you had chili that afternoon.
I certainly did, and I plan to have 4 later this afternoon. Keep in mind now, with 5:04 to go, all the Bears need is a field goal. That's all they got to do is get in field goal range. Evans is up waiting for the snap, running back to the 9 formation. Evans throws, and it's complete. Taken up to the 40-yard line. And it was Ricky Watt who gathered it in and advanced it. Everson Walls made the stop. So a big gain or a 20-yard pickup on the first play.
Vince Evans threw that ball, Lindsey, right on the money. Simply a square out. He went down about 18 yards. Ricky Watts did turn it inside on number 24, Everson Walls. The NFL interception leader with 10 moves the ball up first and 10 Bears at their own 40-yard line. Clock winding down inside 4.5.
Marjoram goes to a wide left. Watts to a wide right. Motion across. That's Marjoram. And now goes to Walter Payton. Tries to left side. On the play for Walter Payton carry. It'll be spotted at the 34-yard line.
That time, number 79, Harvey Barton, in his 9th year from East Texas State, 6'5", 252, simply blew by the entire Bears offensive line. A huge loss of 5, second down and 15. And this is be careful time for the Chicago Bears right now. Evans has already thrown 2 interceptions that be tested very severely by that Dallas linebacking corps.
Running back to even up as Evans is waiting for the snap on this second down play. He's got the ball, he's handing it off. It's taken to the right side this time. Turns one corner, gets back to the inside across the 40 and gets up to the 45-yard line. Picks up 11 yards on the play. Dickerson came in to make the tackle.
He is amazing. Benny Barnes, his 10th year from Stanford, had Payton stop back at about the 33-yard line, and Walter Payton simply outran him, turned it to the outside, got a key block by Batchnagel, and now Payton 35 carries, 170 yards here this afternoon. He's having quite a season here today.
He really is. It's 3rd down and 5 yards to go. 3rd and 5, big play. The ball is at the Bears 45-yard line and their protection. Texas crowd is up. Evans waiting for the snap now. Drops back to throw. Sets up, and he gets it. Out to the outside, it's Watson complete. Watson did not get to the pass. Pressure put on by Dickerson so that Evans had to unload it. And it is 4th down and 5 yards to go. The clock is stopped with 2:52 left to play in the game. Bears have the ball at their own 45-yard line. They trail by a point. If they give it up, will they ever get it back?
No indication from the Bears bench, Lindsey, that Bob Parsons is coming into front on 4th down in a long punt. I've really got to question that last play call. It takes so much time to develop. When the Cowboys are blitzing, when they're putting pressure on this stuff, all you need is a simple down and out. This is it for the Bears. 4th down and 5 yards to go at their own 45. A little over 2 minutes remaining to be played in the game. And now, motion against the Chicago Bears. Jared Albrecht started attacking off on the left side. Back up Jared Albrecht. Five more yards and make it 4th down and 10 yards to go. Albrecht coming back on his pass protection. Made the big move before the snap. Interesting play call now by Neil Armstrong. Now instead of 3rd, 4th, here's the call.
Ball start, number 64 offense, 4th down.
Obviously, nothing to lose for the 3 and 9 Bears, so you would think on 4th and almost 11 with 2:50 to go, you might punt it away, hope for a turnover, hope your defense can contain the Cowboys. But the Bears are going to go for it on a 4th and 10. Gets Evans dropping back. He sets up the left. Goes to the left side, and ball is batted up into the air. And a penalty marker thrown. A penalty marker thrown at the 40-yard line of the Cowboys. It was Steve Wilson battling with Watt. And it's going to be interference against the Dallas Cowboys, I think. At least that's the way the Chicago Bears hold it. Acting, and interference is called against Dallas. That's an automatic 1st down. 1st and 10 to go for Chicago at the Dallas 40-yard line. 6 defenders in there. Ricky Watt turned it outside, ran right away from Wilson. They had the bump and one. Wilson let him clear the 5-yard zone after taking 2 short pops, then gave him the elbow. The left hand was holding on with the left arm, trying to grab the right arm, and was all over him as the ball was delivered perfectly by Evans. So Neil Armstrong gambled, and he got away with it. Chicago Bears trying to get within field goal range. 2 minutes, 42 seconds remaining to be played in the game, running back from an I formation. He's taking a push to the right side all the way across. Evans with the ball gives it out to Payton. Payton past the right side, gets 2 yards to the 38-yard line. 2nd down and 8 yards to go at the 38. Middle linebacker Bob Burning made the stop for the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys 9-3, tied for first in the NFC Eastern Division with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles lost 2010 in Philadelphia to the New York Giants last Sunday, and for all intents and purposes thought that perhaps their chances at winning the Eastern Division were gone because they still have to play here in Texas Stadium against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, having won 17-14 against the Eagles, own the tiebreaker, at least the first one. So everybody figured that if both teams went undefeated until that meeting, the Cowboys playing at home would win, or certainly if they split, they would still have the edge going into the NFC East. Who would have imagined the Chicago Bears, a 2-touchdown underdog, driving for a go-ahead field goal with 2 minutes left to go? We'll be back in 1 moment.
Well, as we turn into the holiday season, with Thanksgiving starting the winter holiday season, there are a couple of trades to report. In pro basketball, in the NBA, Seattle Supersonics and New Jersey Nets completed a trade. The Sonics sent forward James Bailey, he's a big one, to New Jersey for rookie forward Ray Tolbert and a future draft pick. Bailey averaged a little over 14 points a game last season and was scoring less than half that this year. Tolbert played last season with the NCAA champion Indiana Hoosiers. In the hockey trade in the NHL, the Colorado Rockies sent right winger Lanny McDonald and a future draft pick to the Calgary Flames in exchange for forwards Don Lever and Bob McMillan. McDonald goes to Calgary after scoring 66 goals in 2 seasons with Colorado. In return, Colorado gets Lever, who has 234 goals in 9 NHL seasons. And in McMillan, the Rockies get an 8-year veteran and a family bond. He's the brother of Colorado general manager Billy McMillan. The big question is, can the Bears get in position for a field goal that can win it?
The Chicago Bears let the clock run down to 2 minutes where we got the automatic timeout that we're concluding just now. So we have 2 minutes left to play on the ball game. Chicago has the ball. 2nd down and 8 yards to go at the 38-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are leading 10-9. John Loretto along the sideline for Chicago is loosening up his leg. Hopeful he'll get a shot on a field goal attempt. Now the Bears are up there in an I formation. Evans gets the ball, hands it off to Walter Payton. Walter Payton struggles through to the 35-yard line, and John Dutton comes in to make the tackle. They got 3 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 5 yards to go. A big 3rd and 5 for the Chicago Bears at the 35-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys.
And if you're thinking field goal, they are way out of John Rivetto's range. He is 0 for 0. He hasn't even tried one outside the 50. 1 for 3 between the 40 and the 49. So they need to pick up another 10 yards to get into realistic John Rivetto field goal range for the Chicago Bears.
Rivetto's longest is 47 yards. This would be a 52 if they kicked it right from here. This is a 3rd and 5. Irving is up there now running back to the 9. Here's a pitch to Payton. Payton gets in there to the 32-yard line. 32-yard line. And this is going to be about a 49-yard field goal attempt. Mike Heckman coming in to make the tackle. He'll get the ball spotted. Then we'll get it lined up. Roberto is coming onto the field, and Avellini's coming on the hole for him. So it's all come down to this for the Chicago Bears. Line of scrimmage is the 32. Roberto takes one quick boot as he comes out there. It'll be a 49-yard attempt. His longest for the year is 47. Ashmark right. 44 seconds on the clock and running. Dallas leading by a score of 10-9. This crowd is on its feet. Avellini puts it down. The ball is footed. It's carrying, and it is no good. Wide right. No good. Wide to the right. And the ball goes over at the line of scrimmage, which is the 32. 31 seconds on the clock.
It was long enough. He had plenty of toe. He sliced it just a little bit to the right side. And the Bears, who played so valiantly here this afternoon, will fall 1 point short because Too Tall Jones blocked an extra point. The snap was good. The spot was good. Roberto nailed it. He knew it was long enough, but he watched it just slice off to the right side, kind of like an errant golf shot. And the Bears, whose season has begun, well, it actually began on a losing note and has continued that way with just 3 wins and 9 losses. Will drop to 3-10, and the Dallas Cowboys will go to 10-3.
Tight alignment now. Each of these teams has 2 timeouts remaining. The ball is taken by Carano. He simply hits the deck. Carano took the snap, hit the deck. Right there at the line of scrimmage. And we're getting a timeout here against the Chicago Bears. They'll have one more. Chuck Eberling indicating timeout Chicago number 2. We'll be back in a moment.
Well, assuming Dallas can hold on to this ball, and with less than 30 seconds, that's almost in the bank. Dallas will go to 10-3 and go up on Philadelphia. The Eagles do not play until next Monday night when they take on the Dolphins in Miami, Florida, the Monday night feature. And the pressure will be on them to stay with Dallas, and they'll have to come up with a victory at Miami. And Miami, of course, will be smarting. They have to win if they want to keep pace with the New York Jets. The Jets have a relatively easy assignment, but is anything really relatively easy this year in the NFL? The Jets will host the inept Baltimore Colts on Sunday and figure to win that one. Baltimore having won only 1 and lost 11 and having the worst defensive record, having allowed 412 points. They're averaging, when they come on the field, Baltimore averages giving up close to 40 points a ball game this year, and it's tough to win that way. So it would seem that Miami, almost like Philadelphia, has to come up with a win on Monday night if it hopes to keep pace with the New York Jets, who have a much easier assignment this weekend.
Dallas Cowboys again snap the ball to the quarterback. Carano hits the deck. And another timeout call by the Chicago Bears. That's their final timeout, so it'll come up to a 3rd and 13. Chicago Bears can stop the clock. They have used up their 3 allotted times out. And here come the Dallas Cowboys up to the line once again. Carano bending in. He gets the ball, hits the deck, and now they'll let it run. 16 seconds on the clock. And that will be all. They don't have to snap it anymore. The Dallas Cowboys have come from behind to win the football game. And it's been a thriller here at Texas Stadium. It was close, a valiant battle for the Chicago Bears. But that's the end of the game between the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys, where the final score was Cowboys 10, Bears 9.
Well, we'll get back to Lindsey Nelson and Jim Kelly for some post-game comments. A really tough loss for the Chicago Bears. If you're an impartial observer, it's been a rough season for Neil Armstrong, Ted Marchibroda, and the entire coaching staff at Chicago. The defense has been much maligned. The offense at times was non-existent, but today they put together a fine effort, but as pointed out, came up 1 point short. That blocked extra point attempt was the turning point in the ball game as Dallas came back, scored a touchdown, came from behind, and Septien added the extra point, and that was really the difference in the ball game. Both teams played well when they had to, but Chicago just came up a bit short. But there's one thing sure, win or lose in the locker room tonight, Neil Armstrong is not going to make any comments like he did last week when his team was so inept offensively with only 24 total yards against the Detroit Lions. After that game, Neil Armstrong said, "We were so bad last Sunday, we even look lousy coming out of the huddle." Now let's get back to Dallas, Texas.
Jim Kelly, Lindsey
Lindsey Nelson back at Texas Stadium. It was a dandy. It was anything, Lindsey, but a turkey.
Certainly was. It was a thrilling football game, and the Cowboys won it by 1.
It was 3-3 at the end of the first half. Stepped in a 41-yard field goal for Dallas, a 44-yarder by John Rivetta for the Bears, and that's the way we were through a scoreless third period. 13:39 left in the game. The Chicago Bears used 15 plays, 80 yards, 9:58 on the clock. Vince Evans capped it off with a 1-yard touchdown run. The point after was blocked by Ed Too-Tall Jones, and the Bears were clinging to a precarious 9-3 lead. Cowboys got it back down to the Chicago Bears 5-yard line, and on 4th and 5, Tom Landry disdained a field goal that would have put Dallas within 3. Carano rolled out to the right side. Sprinks was open in the right flat of the end zone, but the ball was batted down by Mark Meitenstein, and the Bears took over. They punted, and then the Dallas Cowboys drove 37 yards, 4 plays, 1:41 on the clock. Ron Sprinks punched it over from 6 yards out around the left side. Stephen's conversion turned out to be the winning margin. 10-9, the Cowboys over Chicago, as the Bears missed what would have been the winning field goal by John Rivetta. He sliced it wide to the right side with under a half minute left to play from 49 yards out. So there you have it. The game between the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys has ended with the Cowboys winning 10-9.
Well, our thanks to Lindsey Nelson and Jim Kelly of CBS Radio for their description of what turned out to be a very surprising and entertaining ball game down at the Dome make it down at the Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. The final score again was Dallas 10 and Chicago 9. And believe you me, the Dallas Cowboys after this game will know that they were in a ball game this Thanksgiving Day. Dallas coming away very fortunate with a victory. The only thing that separated these two teams was that blocked extra point. So at the moment, Dallas has taken over the lead in the National Conference Eastern Division over the Philadelphia Eagles by 1/2 a game, and that, of course, depending on the outcome of Philadelphia's battle with the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. Final score again in the ball game, the Dallas Cowboys 10, the Chicago Bears had 9, 1 point difference, anything but a turkey on this Turkey Day. Earlier, Detroit had a relatively easy time, leading at the intermission 17-7 over a high-powered Kansas City offense, and holding on and coming on strong in the second half, holding KC to but a field goal in the third quarter to win it 27-10. Eric Hipple threw 2 touchdown passes in that ball game as Detroit beat Kansas City 27-10. Detroit very much still in the running for the NFC Central as either the division winner or a wild card. They are only a half a game back of Minnesota in the standings there. Minnesota at 7-5. Detroit at the moment 7-6. Minnesota plays Green Bay on Sunday. So the Chicago Bears now have a record of 3-10, but they can hold their heads up high after a very valiant effort against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, of course, is a questionable team next week. We don't know exactly how bad Danny White suffered those bruised ribs, but he was taken to the hospital for x-rays, and, of course, depending on what those show, he may or may not be available for service next week.